We're live.
Good evening. I'll call to order this October 14th, 2025 Fairfield Plan and Zoning Commission meeting order. Our first item are the meeting minutes from October 7th, 2025. May I have a motion on the item? Commissioner Harrison?
I'll make a motion to pass minutes from the October 7th meeting.
Probably make your motion. I think
yeah.
there's gonna be an amendment to it, but that's okay.
Okay, then I will
You might
put that on the table. Or maybe, you know what, I'm gonna withdraw my motion, maybe let somebody
Yeah, I
else do
think
it.
I was just gonna say, I think that might be easier. Commissioner Levy, sorry.
I'll move to approve the minutes as amended, in accordance with the ones that have been passed out to all commissioners today, which includes incorporating the two restrictions, which we did pass as part of the site plan approval and to some extent with respect to the text amendment, but making them a part of the minutes and part of the site plan
Well,
approval.
let's get a second on that if there is a second. Commissioner Porcello seconds. So Commissioner Levy, just again, let's go through what's been changed from what we previously had,
Yeah.
why that change was made.
Yeah, what was posted as a draft minutes on the website basically made the various text amendment and site plan approvals
To Reef Road.
to Reef Road, 817 Reef Road. I believe it's, the Reef Road, but basically made it subject to, approval by the appropriate emergency officials. Whereas in fact, what we did do, according to reviewing the video, was that with respect to density, we did put in certain limits which would be applicable to the text amendment. And then we did adopt the evacuation plan, which includes mandatory evacuation and towing and so forth. And we did adopt the occupancy limitations, and that needs to be reflected in the minutes, which are before us.
All right. Anything else with the minutes? Hold on, with Commissioner Levy, anything else with the minutes?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Porcello, anything further? All right, Commissioner Harrison?
Yeah, I just wanna, it says meeting minutes 9/30/2025. I think it would have been 10/7.
I think on 10-7, we adopted those minutes.
Oh, is, okay. Then never mind, all right, then, all right, all right, then I'll admit what I'm saying.
No
Sorry.
worries. Commissioner Braun?
Can you point out where the change is? Because this is different than the minutes that were posted on the website today.
Yes.
Yes.
And there are no minutes emailed to us. They were just posted on the website. Because that's what so where are these changes?
Are they redlined?
No.
Section.
40.6,
That whole section or within that section?
at the very last sentence. These units shall be limited to occupancy of not more than 2 people for 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom units and 1 person for studios.
I don't see that in 40.6.
40.6.
I see, it says density on mine.
That's the
Yep,
last
keep going.
sentence of that provision.
It goes on to 40.7 on the next page. The handout I got is different than what you're, oh, wait a minute.
It's on page 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
On
page
page
3.
three.
Are you looking at your copy and not the one?
Oh, okay, now I see. Okay. So you added a sentence at the end. So that's the one that we discussed last time where it could go up to 87 people living in
As
the
an absolute maximum, yeah.
assuming no one violates it. Okay, and what was the other change?
Okay.
Everything on page 7 onward, right?
Is there any enforcement of that we?
There's 40.10.4. All vehicles shall have an assigned space on the premises.
Anything else?
What line is different there?
We added 40.10.4. That wasn't in the zoning regulation previously.
And then we added the 2 restrictions, which are the last 1, 2, 3 pages, 4 pages.
Where's that?
Starts with restriction 1, which is 3 pages, and restriction 2 on the last.
What is the section number?
Well, they're just attached to the minutes as exhibits.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah,
are these so this restriction plan is referred to in,
yeah. Number 8, the very last sentence before you get to middle terrace. These provisions shall be provided by the applicant to provide occupancy limitations based on the number and size of bedrooms as mandated by health and building code requirements as per restriction 2. So that incorporated the second restriction that was added.
so
Where's the first restriction added?
I only
Item
see
number
restriction
6.
1 attached.
Item number 6.
And
In the conditions?
an evacuation
restriction
plan
two.
must
So-
be implemented by the applicant, et cetera. In accordance with restriction 1.
So these restrictions are referred to in the body of the regulation?
And then the public notice will simply include what's in the minutes, but it won't be necessary then to print the entire restrictions. They'll be incorporated by reference.
Under density, I don't see that it refers to either restriction. Under 40.6.
It's, if I can clarify, the restrictions are referenced for the, site plan review in the conditions. The
So which
minutes-
one is that?
So that's if you go to item D of the minutes. 812 and 820 Reef Road and 155 Forest Avenue.
Right.
Zoning compliance and coastal site plan application.
Yep.
And then that says, approve, so if you just scroll down, approve with
Conditions / restrictions in bold. And then it lists the 8 conditions that apply to that site plan and coastal site plan application approval. Number 6 references restriction 1. Number 8 references restriction 2.
I'm looking at the minutes. It says old business, the OCD, and then zoning regulation for this, approved with modifications. Then I see the actual regulation, starting with 40.1. I don't see one.
Page 5.
Pardon me?
Go to page 5 and 6. Page 5 is section D regarding the Reef Road zoning compliance application. 6 under D, 6D.
The coastal site plan?
With respect to the coastal site plan and the site.
Yes. Zoning compliance and coastal site plan application.
So we didn't make the changes to their proposed regulation, we just did an adder. The proposed regulations are 40.1 through 40.11, right? So 12. This is separate from that then.
Yes.
Yes.
And all of this was posted except for the things you're pointing out now. And that will be posted.
Anything else, Commissioner Braun?
Yeah, I have a question on the P O C D.
Okay.
When we say motion passed 4-3, I recall, I believe Ms. Harrigan said at that hearing that this will be the P O C D will become effective on October 11th. What does that mean exactly? Because that's not in here. Should that be in here also?
Yes, that should.
And by passed, does that mean the same as adopted? Because the statute 8-23 says adopted. So this is not like an oral regulation. This is adopting something, right? So should this say adopted?
Can.
It can.
And also, I believe there are 2 other agencies that needed to give us a recommendation that didn't do so. And so I would like the town attorney to weigh in on this. I think we were required to have a supermajority and I don't think we had one. The vote was 4-3. So I believe harbor management, I know that's gray area, but my understanding is if harbor management gave a negative review or didn't give a positive review, and then if the Board of Selectmen either gave a negative review or didn't give a positive review, then we needed 5-2 votes to adopt it. That's my understanding. So I think on matters like this, we should have the town attorney weigh in on it. I would like to get his opinion.
That's not correct. So the harbor management has no supermajority authorization for our P O C D. They only have authorization over items that affect real property. And they don't have a supermajority. There's nothing in statute or within local ordinance that provides them with a supermajority action for the P O C D. Their opinion is advisory to us, and this was reviewed with Attorney Pierce, the town attorney. And he did not find, based on the prior letter that they sent to us, that they had the ability to force a supermajority vote.
Did he give us that opinion? Because I haven't read that opinion.
He sent an email based on that to staff,
To us?
to staff.
Oh, could we get that?
I can forward it to you,
When was
sure.
that dated?
This was when the original letter came out from the Harbor Commission.
A year
where
ago?
They, whenever it was that they had referenced that they felt that they had the ability to force a supermajority
So
vote. I
I'm aware,
reviewed that with the town attorney at the time. I think Jim Went was still the planning director at the time. And that was determined to be an incorrect assumption on their part.
so I'm aware that when we met in November of 2024, that, I remember that night because we got a memo from them asking us to make changes and to reference their coastal vision document. And then when they wrote another letter now, they said we didn't do any of that and we didn't add any of that to the new P O C D. So to me, that's a negative endorsement. So I guess I have a different interpretation of 8-23 and also the town code, which I believe does state that if we pass a plan or a project that could negatively impact the area within their jurisdiction, then and they don't like it, then that would force us to have to approve that plan or project with a supermajority. So I would like to see the town attorney's opinion. I didn't realize they had given an opinion. I never saw it, so it would be nice to have.
As Ms. Harkin said, she will forward it to us, but right now we have minutes in front of us.
Well, I don't know if we adopted it or not.
Well, it's been a 4-3 and it's been adopted. So at this point, if 4-3 turns out not to be the case, fine, but right now the minutes will reflect what they are. Nothing that you didn't bring this up, any of these discussion last time, so we're at the minute
I think it's
stage.
come up a few times, actually, but
I disagree, but that's fine. So we're at the minute stage to kind of give the old businesses to adopt the minutes from the last meeting, so getting opinions at this point seems a little late, but we can
I
still,
can't support the minutes if I think they're inaccurate.
that's fine, then that's fine.
I would just, perhaps we should clarify it. That we did adopt the P O C D. As it reads, it might appear that we just passed
Sure.
the harbor management revision. But in
So-
fact,
Friendly amendment and change the word pass to adopt.
well, it should be that we did adopt one of the revisions on the harbor management. There was one section we did pass or some motion there, and we adopted the P O C D.
All right, so why don't we do this? Let's table this so that we can get the minutes squared away. Does that make sense? Or do you think what we're doing now is sufficient?
I understand what Commissioner Levy is indicating for the change in the language. I defer to the commission as to what they would like to do.
All right, so friendly amendment, I assume that's a friendly amendment
Yes.
of your motion.
My own motion, yes.
Yeah. Commissioner
Good.
Corcel, are you okay with that?
Mhm.
Is there any objections to that? So motion's been amended as such. And that's fine. I understand what's going on unless anybody else had issues with it. We can move forward. Commissioner Harrison?
Yeah, I just looked up the statute, 8-23. And it does say something about, it does say the legislative body or the board of selectmen, as it may hold one or more public hearings on the plan. I don't know if they did or if they didn't. So maybe we can clarify that too.
Okay. Feel like they did way back when.
We did. We've had 3 public meetings before the Board of Selectmen to protect the P O C D.
Oh, okay, I thought the
When were those
adoption
meetings?
draft was different from the draft that we had back in September 2023.
We have met the statutory requirement. We've been before the Board of Selectmen.
May I ask when those meetings were? Because I'm not aware of any of them.
We can get that offline right now. This is.
I'd like to know because that
you
has
can
to
get
do,
that. I'm not saying you can't get to know. I'm just saying we're talking about the minutes right now.
we didn't hear from the board of selectmen.
We did.
When did we hear from them?
I don't remember the dates
I
offhand.
don't remember getting a letter from them.
I don't think we got a letter per se, but I think it was presented to them.
When was it presented? Was it this year?
I mean,
It was
last
within
question, then
this
we're gonna.
Calendar year.
Sorry, was it on the adoption copy that we was published on July 31st, 2025, or some other earlier version?
Earlier versions, but we've
So
been
that's
to
not the
them,
adoption version.
we've been to them 3 times.
And they gave a positive endorsement?
They did not give a negative endorsement.
So that means they did not satisfy the statutory
We
requirement.
don't have to take a vote on it. We just
not-
have to present it to them. They are not required to take a vote on the plan of conservation and development.
Well, I'm aware that in September of 24, they gave a negative endorsement, or they simply would not give a positive endorsement. My understanding is they have to give an endorsement. If they don't, then we have to have a supermajority because it's supposed to reflect the will of the people of the town. That's the public policy behind it. So
Anything,
can we
I
get?
don't think anything we did not
the
do that.
records? Because I don't think we have a valid POCD that's been adopted. And I can't support any minutes that,
That's fine.
Yes,
You
we do.
noted your objection. Commissioner Randolph,
Can we put the meeting minutes to a vote? With the amendments?
I think we're due for that, yes, unless there's anything else on the minutes.
I didn't hear that. Could you,
Can we put the meeting minutes to a vote with the proposed amendments?
we're having discussion on the meeting minutes right now.
Moving to
No.
vote.
You're not, I mean, you're talking about the POCD and the statutory and the legal basis of it. I mean, it's not the
It
minutes.
says we did something that I don't think we did.
You don't think we voted 4-3?
I don't think we adopted it, if that's what we're changing the language to.
That's the motion right now, and if you object to it, that's fine, but we're
Are
not
we
gonna,
going to get clarification in the record?
we can certainly get clarification from if we need to, but I'm not sure, and I'm not sure when it's gonna be, certainly not tonight.
We're
Like you
not
said.
going to seek the clarification that we've been told exists.
I said we would, but I think as my understanding and Director Harrigan confirms is that what we did adopted it, so. If you want to see additional clarification, fine, but
Well, I'd like to see the backup. If the Board of Selectmen endorsed it, I'd like to see that. Or if they didn't endorse it, I'd like to see whenever they voted on it or didn't vote on it, whatever this backup is that we were never informed of.
right,
You can Chairman order that, request that?
you've requested it. I think that, I mean, I think Ms. Harrigan has already said as much, all the answers you're gonna get as far as, maybe not the exact dates, but that there, no vote that was taken by the selectmen.
Can we get the dates it was presented?
It's public
Sure,
record, sure.
I can provide that to you. I don't have it front of mind, but I can certainly provide you with those dates.
Can we put this to a vote? All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
So we've got 6, so 6 in favor, opposed. Commissioner Braun opposes. All right. Next item in old business is 60 Katona Drive, application of Brett and Kim Sherman. Excuse me. Representing the Goddard School on behalf of Catfield LLC, property owner for conversion of an existing office building to a child daycare center for associated site improvements for parking, landscaping, and outdoor play areas. So I'll reiterate an email what I asked the commission. Because of what I expect to be a long evening and the next item potentially taking long as well. Normally we have staff, Ms. Harrigan read her staff comments. I asked earlier in the day if we could forego that in the interest of time to keep things moving. I'd like to do that unless there's any real strong objections, but even if there is, I think this is a pretty straightforward one, and we had access to these staff comments beforehand.
As long as staff comments be part of the record, then
We can make staff comments part of the, yes.
they'd otherwise be ready.
No, I agree. That's the same thing. All right, so we're gonna forego the staff comments. May I have a motion on the item? Commissioner Corsillo,
Move to approve.
is there a second? Commissioner Harrison. Commissioner Corsillo,
I think the application satisfies the conditions for special exception. I think it's a thoughtful reuse of an underutilized site. I have familiarity with the Goddard School. I live right near their existing location. They're a good neighbor. I think, the one issue that I think was potential issue that was discussed was parking. I have never seen an issue with parking at the existing location on Stratfield Road. And in my mind, the parking plan that's been submitted as part of this application is sufficient. So I think this is, the commission should approve and look forward to seeing that site reactivated.
Thank you. Commissioner Harrison?
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Commissioner Corsillo said about this application. I think the Shermans are obviously a very outstanding business people in town and glad to see them expand. Daycare is important. We need more daycare, and that's very clear, I think, already by your waiting list at the second location. So happy to see that. I know I'm very familiar with this area, and I don't think parking would be an issue. Even the overflow parking at events, that street is, Katona is very wide. There's ample room for additional parking. So yeah, appreciate their application. Glad to see them expanding. And I think they addressed any concerns that the commission may have had.
Thank you. Commissioner Braun?
Yes, I support this also, and just going through the criteria we usually follow. Location, type, and character of the buildings is in harmony and conforms to the early development of the town. I believe that it is. This is in a highly dense commercial area of town, and this is a welcome commercial activity. They will provide adequate access for fire protection. That's been shown. Are the streets adequate? And they are. And they also gave a good explanation of their other location and how they stagger and plan for the scheduling of people being dropped off. And they did answer our questions regarding both staff and students and parents in terms of their ability to get in and out without creating a bottleneck, as well as parking. And is it in compliance with the POCD? And yes, it is. That is the commercial area of our town. And this is a welcome commercial activity that they have shown with screening and distance will not create a nuisance. And in fact, I think we heard from one of the neighboring people in the condo association that they're welcoming this application. So I would support it.
What else? Pretty straightforward application, good use, good area of town. Which is benefit to everybody. We put this to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Next, I'll call the next two together. Application Primrose Development LLC for revision to the zoning regulations to add section 5.5.1 Black Rock Affordable District to allow construction of affordable multifamily housing pursuant to section 830G of the Connecticut General Statutes and 4221 Black Rock Turnpike application of Primrose Development LLC contract purchaser to rezone the parcel located at 4221 Black Rock Turnpike to the Black Rock Affordable District zone on land presently zoned as residence AAA. As I said, I think we should again forego staff comments, make it part of the record as we did last time. And let's have a discussion and kind of see where it goes.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend deliberation until we can hear from the town attorney about the concept of the process being used, concept, as well as the whole issue of 8-30G. And whether you can file what's essentially an 8-30G after the moratorium. I would like to suspend this until we hear from the town attorney.
Yeah, I've gotten something from the town attorney.
I'm making a motion to
All right.
suspend.
I'll second it too
decision
for
on this.
discussion.
Okay. Commissioner Brown,
Was there a second?
it was a second,
Okay,
Commissioner
so-
Harrison.
We've had a number of losses on 8-30Gs, and I feel that
Yes.
that is affecting our review of these applications. And I think we need to have a closed executive session on all the cases that are pending and make sure that we know the parameters and the criteria and what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing. We've had, request has been made by multiple commissioners, not just me. And this is a complicated one because not only is this a concept, meaning one of the issues we have to decide is this concept adequate for us to determine on an 8-30G analysis whether we should pass this regulation and this zone change based on a concept that some may consider inadequate or not. The second legal issue is this is being done to essentially put in an 8-30G application after the moratorium. In other words, if we pass a zoning regulation change and change the zone of this parcel, then we would later on be asked to review an application that would be an 8-30G, but not call itself an 8-30G, but we would have to review it under the standards of an 8-30G. And I don't even know if that includes shifting of the burden of proof. But that to me is an end run around 8-30G, and I would like to have the town attorney weigh in on both of those issues, because they're both a little bit complicated. And in light of the prior matters that we've had that have been ruled against us in court, including the Berkeley decision, the High Street decision, a bunch of Beach Road, Upper Road. I think we should have closed executive sessions so we understand exactly how to interpret all those various decisions in the context of how we discuss the parameters of 8-30G and what should apply and what shouldn't apply. And I would like to do that before we have to vote on this. We have until the 30th. That gives us 2 more Tuesdays. I understand we're not meeting next Tuesday, but we've done it before. Now, when we decided to make a consensus not to seek further review of the Berkeley decision, that was done, I feel, a little prematurely, and we did it, and we didn't have any legal counsel. Usually we have legal counsel when we talk about important decisions of litigation. So we have not had counsel advise us on 8-30G, and we should.
Commissioner Harrison?
I would just add, and I am prepared to vote on this, but I do feel strongly that we should be getting legal opinions from our counsel on how these core decisions are affecting us, how they should be interpreted, and what parameters that we have going forward. I don't think it hurts us to have more information. I think many of us have been asking that for a long time here, and I think there's some gray area with this application. So I would support what Mr. Bond has requested.
Okay.
And we do have 2 weeks, so I would respectfully ask the commission if we can hold off.
I mean, to be clear though, we have reached out to the Crown Attorney about this issue with the conceptual plan. And that response was forwarded to the commission weeks and months ago.
And that was, as to remind the commission, that was in regards to the prior application that was similar in structure to this one, which was 1477 Congress Street. I am certainly happy to move forward all of those materials if the commission would like me to do that, but certainly if you would like a closed executive session, that would be something where we'd have to coordinate schedules.
So,
It can be done from remote, and we've done it before.
which is fine, but I guess my point is this. We've asked the question of town council in the past, got a response. And at least with respect, it was 1477 that Congress Street, same idea with the conceptual plan, we got an answer to. And it wasn't until really right now, 2 weeks and a few days, that you're asking for it again. And it would have been nice to have known that sooner, much sooner than today. Because here we are trying to get back to a normal schedule and not have, 4 Tuesdays in a month, and this is being asked of us now. And I mean, if the rest of the commission wants that, so be it, but I'm not sure that it changes. Oh, we'll see what everybody else thinks. I'm not sure it changes where I am on the issue. And as to, 830Gs in general, I mean, I don't need to get into all that. I think that the commission has a handle on what the statutory obligations are of them. So, happy to listen to anybody else and see if they want to support the motion it's the table, not to suspend. I mean, as you said, we have until October 30th, whatever we do today or up until then, we have until the 30th. And if we don't make a decision by the 30th, it's granted or approved, whatever the term is, by operation of law. Braun?
I just want to say that there are certain things about the Berkeley decision that I don't agree with, and I think our town attorney should weigh in on that. For example, it was suggested in the decision that we can never pretty much make a decision without expert testimony. I don't think the case law supports that 100%. And I think we should have the town attorney advise us on that. I also think it's very unique that we're doing this process of basically allowing an 830G to go forward after the moratorium. And the whole issue of what is an adequate concept is also important. And I don't think the 1477 Congress Street opinion necessarily applies to the facts of our case. And I also don't think it's in the record of our case here. I haven't seen it forwarded to me as part of this.
I hope it's not in the record because it's
Well, if that's
attorney,
what we're relying on.
attorney-client privilege.
Well, I'd like to get it. I mean, Okay, I'd like to have that re-forwarded to me before I have to vote on this.
Just send it to
It's fine. I mean, we're not gonna look at it right now.
No,
to
I
make a
know.
decision, but thank you. Did anybody want to jump in? Commissioner Corsello?
I'll just say, I don't know. I think this is certainly a legal gray area. I think it's a legal gray area because there hasn't been a clear decision from the courts on a similar type of application telling us how we're supposed to treat these. And I think the attorney's opinion on the previous application that's been referenced is a bit ambiguous because for that very reason. I'm not sure getting the attorney to essentially restate their opinion on these types of cases is going to shed any more light without a court actually weighing in on this. I think we're going to be in exactly the same position if we just kick this can down the road and request another opinion on this.
Commissioner
I
Harrison?
would just add, why deny ourselves information, the opportunity to ask some questions? Commissioner Corsillo is correct, but I don't think we're not doing anything wrong by seeking that. I know, and I'm sure all of us in our own professional life, we seek expertise before we render a decision. We want to be fully informed before we do that. And this is a very significant application and project. So I think I don't want to do ourselves a disservice by proceeding with this without getting, feedback and having that conversation with the town attorney in an closed executive session. Others may disagree with me, but again, we
No.
have time on this.
Well,
And I respect that, and I do.
I guess my little frustration is, yes, we have 2 weeks and 2 days or whatever it is. It would have been nice to make this request much sooner than today, though. Considering,
Things change, unfortunately. I mean, things do change. We've been jammed with things,
I understand very well what our schedule is. We've
I
got
know
a
you
chart
do.
in front of it. I mean,
know.
I know, so I mean, we don't need to but I mean, the timing is less than ideal. If the rest of the commission wants it, so be it. I somewhat agree with Attorney Corsillo. No, I'm sorry, Commissioner Corsillo, no, I don't want
Thank you.
to, I don't mean, no, I
Plays
don't,
on TV.
I don't mean to insult you as such. I do agree with Commissioner Corsillo, in my reading of the statute and the regulation, there's no case law on it. Very gray. I don't think the opinion is gonna change too much than what we've received already. If the rest of the commission wants to do it, that's fine. Part of me thinks it might be worth spending a half hour, notwithstanding the public, and I apologize, talking substantively about this to potentially see where everybody is on this, with the knowledge, knowing what we know now. And even if we table it later, having a substantive discussion might be helpful to see where things are, potentially shorten things later, or at least maybe highlight certain issues to be further thought of. So that would be my only other suggestion is if you want to table it we're gonna have an executive session next week.
Mhm.
That's the only, or whenever Attorney Piers is available.
So if that's the direction that the commission would like to go, my first course of action is to find out when Attorney Piers
Available,
is
yeah.
available.
Yeah.
And then we go from there. I guess the only thing that I would specifically request of the commission is whether or not like a lunchtime executive session is preferred over like an early evening executive session. Just
The
to
only
give
evenings that
timeframes.
really work for me are Tuesdays at this point. I've just been scheduling things around Tuesdays.
Just one
Can
question.
we ask specifically that question I had, though, that I've been talking about from day one on this, which is setting it up for an 8-30G case after the moratorium. I really need to hear from our town attorney on that. And somebody
Okay,
at his firm, I understand, is a real expert on 8-30G, and I would really like to get his opinion on that.
Patricia Sullivan, yes, she's, I think was part of that advising. I mean, listen, the application was made before the moratorium. I would think it'd be pretty clear, but if you want to get that opinion, fine, but the application was made before the moratorium was entered. So that's pretty standard that you beat that deadline.
But the site plan will be after the moratorium. And that will be an 8-30G site plan, which I don't understand how they can do. That has not been explained to me adequately, how you can
Well, it's been addressed.
shoehorn it in based on passing a regulation, but this won't be an 8-30G, but it really will be an 8-30G.
been addressed in the past. I mean.
I don't think
ask her
it
again.
has.
No, it has. I mean, I remember it. I've discussed it with you. Discussed it, attorney was discussed it, so the applicant for these things, so. Question again is, I don't think, besides Tuesdays, I'm not really sure any evenings work for me. Is that true for anybody else? I guess, okay. So I guess the question is, if Attorney Piers, just give us availability when he
Okay.
can. Obviously Tuesday evening would be better because everybody's kind of planning around that nowadays. Lunch times, whenever he's available then, or frankly, any afternoons if we can make times for it, and then we'll submit it to the, we'll distribute it among the commission to see what works. Commissioner
I
Harrison.
have great respect for Attorney Pierce, but I'm just wondering if the person who is an expert in land use from his firm could come. I think they spoke once at our meeting when they were first appointed. Is it Cohen and Wolf?
I will, yeah. I mean, we can ask it, but I mean, it's up to him.
Correct.
But I think he's very deferential to the experts in his office.
No, I agree with that. I mean, he,
Yes.
when we asked the opinion of him way back when, she was the one who chimed in. Because it was referred to her. So I expect that to be similar, or at the very least, he's gonna be brought up to speed well enough to do it on his own. If not doing it on his own already, so it's up to him. All right. So is that, I mean, let me just see, do we want to just table this now, or do we want to have a discussion about it? Nobody seems to be, I know your position, Attorney Commissioner Vaughn. All right, nobody seems chomping at the bit for a discussion. That's fine.
I'd have a discussion.
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to see. Oh, Commissioner Ford, I'm sorry.
I support tabling it. I think patience in these applications would do us some good.
Table it.
Table it.
Fine. All right. Motion to table. Can we put it to a vote?
That's for both or?
We're gonna do both, yeah. It was called together, motions for together. Yeah, now we're gonna do one, not the other. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Passes. We will, as I said, the decision needs to be made by the 30th. Try and schedule an executive session. I suspect the plan is gonna have to be then, just, a discussion and decision is gonna need to be had. Well, certainly before the 30th, but at least on the 28th.
Commissioner Ford, does he have a question?
I just want to, if we're going to schedule something with the town attorney, I have a tight schedule next week. 1 to 2 during the day is the best time for me. As the attorneys in the room know, when the courts are closed during the day.
Yeah, and that's probably where I would ask him to focus on is either Tuesday evening or 1 to 2. Lunchtime, 12:30, 12, I mean, I guess wherever it was. Attorney, Commissioner Ford is right, and 1 to 2 would be better.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving on to our public hearing. No, we just had a motion to table. That's what I was, that's what I was asking for. All right, next public hearing. I'll call the first two together. 95 Old Post Road, application of Metro Holding LLC to rezone the parcel located at 95 Old Post Road to design commercial district. Land presently zoned design industrial. Attorney Russo, you want me to call both, right?
Yes, please.
95 Old Road, special permit application of Metro Holding LLC to construct a new 3-story mixed-use building containing first floor retail, second floor office, third floor residential with associated parking as shown on plans. Final zoning location survey prepared for Metro Holding Company at 95 Old Post Road dated October 15, 2021, updated July 29, 2024, prepared by Richard W. Plain Land Surveyors. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the commission, Chris Russo with Russo and Rizzio LLC, offices at 10 Sasko Hill Road in Fairfield. Here on behalf of the applicant, Metro Holding Company LLC. This is for an application for a zone change, a special permit and site plan review for 95 Old Post Road. 95 Old Post Road, you can see here on the zone change plan, it sits just above the railroad tracks in Southport, on the left-hand side of Old Post Road, if you're heading towards north towards Post Road. It's across Old Post Road. Property here, you probably know the Finley Architects Building. That's right across the street, which is located in the DCD. It's just south of the buildings. It's property actually my client owns, where the new Harris Brown Stevens Realtor office is. There's also the Tusk retail space in the back. It's in a separate building. So that's just to the north of it. There's another office building behind it. That's 107 John Street. That's known as the Southport Station Office Center. And what you may notice about those surrounding uses, even though, as you can see here, two of them, at least the one that's to the north of us and to the west of us, they're located in the industrial zone, the DI, but they are not industrial uses. 95 Old Post, as well as a handful of others in the Southport area, are still located in the designed industrial district. This harkens back to Southport's industrial past, but that's what it is, the past. And this property is one that needs to be brought out of the past in its zoning and its development. Those industrial uses do not suit this site anymore. The existing building on the site, that's towards the southern end, does not conform to setback standards. And, you know, if you have an industrial use in particular, you want to make sure you have proper setbacks, you have proper buffering of that use. And on this site, it's extremely difficult. It's an odd shape, a triangular shape that narrows considerably as it goes to the north, and it has a tremendous amount of road frontage. So it's a hard site to buffer an industrial use. The site really belongs in the zone that's right across the street. And it's the zone that you can see dominates this section of Southport, which is the DCD. If you look at the map, one thing you'll know, and it's really the train tracks that make this division line. The north side of Southport, you have the DI that you can see here, but the commercial zone is predominantly DCD. Whereas you go south, then you see the NDD, particularly along Pequot Ave. Since we're north of the train tracks, we're asking for a zone change to the DCD in conformity with a lot of the properties in this area, particularly the ones across the street. The POCD that was in place at the time of submission of this application recognized, I think that it specifically stated, recommended the rezoning and transitioning away from industrial zones. That was in the Southport section of the POCD. It also noted that the town has experienced groundless growth through repurposing former industrial sites, which is exactly what we're looking to do here. The POCD that was just approved noted that there is little appetite to grow the economy through industrial areas. You're seeing industrial uses disappear around here. You're about to momentarily receive an application for 204 Old Post Road, which is right here. And that will also propose a zone change out of the DID to a DRD. Obviously not approved, but just this trend of industrial disappearing from this area. The site itself meets all your standards for designation in the DCD. It has the necessary lot area, lot square, and frontage. And in its history, you probably remember the former use that was there, the hair salon. There's signs still there for it. So it previously was not used for an industrial use. So I think all those reasons, we believe that the proposed zone change is in accordance with your comprehensive plan, and that the DCD is the appropriate zone for this property to transition to. Turning to the special permanent site plan review portion of the application. So the redevelopment calls for demolishing, over here is the as-built survey, demolishing the existing one-story building. It's about 2,500 square feet, and constructing a new 3-story building that you can see there on the left-hand side, down at the southern end of the site, which is the widest part of the site. The redevelopment gives us an opportunity to correct a number of issues on the site. First, just the traffic flow of the site. Right now, the site is just one big open curb cut. There's no curbs. You can enter it from any angle. So just getting proper curbing is a huge plus for the site, but as you can see from the site plan, we are providing a one-way entrance up at the northern end of the site that would then go through this angled parking area. Which, you know, this parking area is really the only design that will work, considering how narrow it is at the northern end. And with the presence, you can see here delineated in the plan that there's wetlands on the western side. So we have to keep a buffer there. There's a landscape plan I have. I'll show you that. That proposes a number of plantings there. So we need that to protect the wetlands. It really kind of narrows the area that we could design a parking area. And what we're able to do is provide this angled parking area that you'll come through on a one-way off of the northern end. We received the necessary variances for parking. We're required under the regulations to have 24 spaces. We're providing 21. We received a variance to go to 21, variance of 3 spaces. The truth though is the commission also on top of that has the authority to exercise a reduction in residential parking spaces by half as well. We have 3 apartments which require 6 spaces under the regulations, but the regulations permit a reduction of that by half. So that is another way, you know, we could have covered that gap in the number of required parking spaces, but we did receive the necessary variances to be fully compliant. So this drive that comes through the north, then goes under the building and then exits on the southern end. You'll also see that we created a pull-off area off of the main right-of-way of Old Post Road to allow for Amazon vehicles to pull in. Amazon trucks are gonna do that anyway, so we thought best to give them an area so they're not sticking out into Old Post Road. It's a large area that they can pull off into and drop off any packages that they have. So the first is traffic flow that we're able to do with the redevelopment. It also allows us to add proper drainage. We've submitted our drainage plan report. It states that our increase in stormwater runoff is mitigated on site. We are decreasing the net peak runoff. Our expert concluded in the report that the proposed improvements will have no adverse impact on surrounding properties. And again, if you've seen this site, it's easy to tell that this is a huge improvement because that site is completely paved over essentially, and it has no drainage. So adding drainage to this is a significant improvement from existing conditions. Third, the redevelopment. Show me the pictures here. Will provide us the opportunity to add sidewalks. This property is a gap in sidewalks in this area. In Old Post Road, north of train tracks, you'll see a pretty good sidewalk network along Old Post Road. But this site is a gap. It's an important one to fill because of this picture, if you can see, this side of Old Post Road is the only side that has a sidewalk that goes underneath the underpass. So having that will connect the rest of Old Post Road to that sidewalk under. It's just too narrow to have, you can see here, it's too narrow to have one on both sides. So I think that's a significant improvement. You can see, and if you look at the Google Earth image, you can see people just walk across the asphalt area. But I think giving them giving pedestrians a safe code compliance sidewalk that will connect these sidewalk networks is an important improvement, particularly given the fact that the train station's right there. So folks looking to go to the southern side to access the train station, this is going to be a nice, safe, convenient access for them. And finally, the redevelopment will bring a significant amount of landscaping, as I was discussing earlier. As you can see here, there's extensive landscaping proposed. This went to wetlands. It was approved by wetlands. but there's significant amount of landscaping here along the rear, but there's also landscaping along the front. There's a nice rendering, John, I don't know if you could pull up the
The
rendering.
image?
The rendering image, yeah, that I sent, yeah. That shows it and again, if you know the site, it's a night and day improvement in terms of landscaping. There, great. Right now, it's just an open asphalt area, but you can see there's a nice area there that we can add a lot of landscaping along the frontage and then planting along the rear as well.
Is that the rendering?
It is a rendering, yes. Shows the building. You can see that space, that pull-off space that I was mentioning. And then landscaping along basically the entire frontage. Regards to the building, I'll just walk you through each of the plans. So on the ground floor, again, you'd enter here from the north end of the site, any parking spaces. You have a entrance into 700 square foot of retail. Not huge, but a retail space here that you can enter directly into. You also have a direct entrance into a lobby, which has an elevator and a stairwell to the upper floors. There's an additional stairwell at the rear of the building. And the other thing I will note here, I mean, one, you can see the sidewalks, but there is a bike rack that's along the old post road frontage. And then there's also a bike storage area that's on the side of the building as well. So then the second floor, first floor is retail use. The second floor is a proposed office. Right here, it's a single office area, a little over 3,600 square feet. Just to point out, you can see there's two small decks at either corner. That actually matches, and I think I have a picture of this as well. The other building, which my client owns, has a similar deck. It's a very nice feature. See right there, this is the Harris Brown Stevens building. There's the Tusk retail building that I was mentioning. Also has an upper deck there. These decks, in contrast, are on the backside of the building, facing towards the other office building, the Southport Station Office Street building. Just a single office on the second floor, and then on the third floor, there's 3 2-bedroom apartments. They each so size wise, 1,150 for one, 1,300 square feet, and 1,350 square feet for the other. Each bedroom has its own bathroom. They have their own kitchens, washer, dryer. They also each have their own balcony. You can see 2 here, which face towards the train tracks, and then this balcony here, it's a smaller balcony that faces out towards, again, the office building. The mechanicals are located on the roof, and that's essentially it for the floor plan designs. The details regarding elevations are right here listed with all the materials. It's light and, a great looking building designed by Franzen Architects. Jack Franzen and his team do incredible work and are very familiar with the Southport area. We feel it's going to fit in very well with the character of the neighborhood. With regard to,
Question from.
yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Actually, 2 quick
Go ahead,
questions.
sorry.
Just with parking, and maybe I missed this in the plan, do you have EV parking?
I think there's anything shown. I know it would not be located under the building,
Right.
because the fire marshal's been clear with me
Yes.
about that. Not putting it under the building. If we did, it would be located. And if we're required, we would locate it in one of these spaces,
Maybe 1 or 2 up.
whatever,
Yeah,
to meet the
whatever.
requirements.
Okay. And then what kind of retail were you envisioning? Is it cafe or?
It's 700 square feet. I don't know if we have anybody yet. I bet. Mark, you would have to come up, Mark, and just announce who you are. State your address.
Hi, Mark Howitt, home address,
Yeah,
100 Sasko River Lane. So my idea for this is something that will service a community that's walk up, bikeable, coffee shop, cafe, something like that. There's a lot of foot traffic in the area, and I don't think there's a lot of services on that side of the train tracks for that. You've got Equinox there and some other places that I think could support it well. But something that's certainly walkable, bikeable, place for somebody to grab a quick bite.
and intended for those nearby residents. Yep.
Commissioner Braun?
Can you explain the sidewalks again? Is it actually connecting the one, I see one on the aerial, on the old Post Road, like a partial sidewalk by John Street and then nothing, and then the train tracks. Where is it coming from and to it? How is
So-
it connecting any of them?
So there's sidewalk here. It's connecting down. You can see. it
That's near
runs
John
here.
Street, right? Up
This,
towards-
John Street would
Up
be,
that way more.
it'd come in
Okay.
like this. So there's sidewalk here, it indents, and then it comes back around, you go across the exit drive, and then here's more sidewalk, and it would connect into that sidewalk that I showed you that went into the other.
Where's the train tracks there?
The train tracks
Down
are
below,
right here.
Okay, so you would go up to the train tracks because you're adjacent to the train
We're
tracks?
adjacent to it, and then they have that sidewalk that goes.
And it's on the same side of the road that the development's on, right? Where the sidewalk will be?
Correct.
Obviously.
Yes. Yep.
And the design, I'm not an architect, but it looks kind of like other Southport brick buildings. I don't, is that how it was designed to make it? It's quite
Yeah.
attractive.
I think Jack Franzen is on the line if you want to comment on that, but yeah, it was.
Do you know will there be a drainage guy talking, or can I ask you those questions? I have a question about impervious surface.
So I don't have the engineer to speak on drainage. We did submit the report and I have the information from the report that I can reference to.
Okay,
I just wanted to show you,
sure.
this is the property north. You can see the sidewalks all along.
Mhm.
And then again, it's an open gap there. I mean, you can see here, I think you can see the end of the sidewalk here, and you can actually see the beginning of the sidewalk.
Oh, I see. So
So
you
we're
would connect.
connecting that whole strip. And so that's, a big improvement. Just questioning.
And would you be able to supply the wetlands permit that you got? And
Yeah, I submitted that in for the record, just so you had it in the record, but yes, I
didn't see it
have
on the-
that.
On the website.
I submitted it in today, just so you
Okay.
had it in the record, in case you did want to look at it.
Sorry.
I don't have my.
No, that's fine. If you don't mind double checking, but.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If not, I have it here with me.
Your architect, you know, if you. It's Franzen.
Jack's on.
Hey, Chris, thank you. Yeah, you wanted to get some background on the architecture. I guess it would be sort of the look that we see with the Jelliff Mill and some of the old 19th century buildings. That's sort of what our inspiration was. And, I think, I can't stand up, but to think that there's 240 feet of sidewalk that doesn't exist now. So this is a really important connection to make, I think, from the tracks all the way up to Mark's other building there.
And how close, may I ask another question?
Go ahead.
How close is this to any other residential buildings? It seems like it's mostly all commercial there, but are there any actual residential houses near there? And have
Up
you heard
until
from any
recently,
neighbors?
there was a house on John Street. The lady who ran the Driftwood Coffee Shop lived actually kitty corner to this building.
Have you gotten any opposition? And also, I assume there's no protest petition that's been filed.
I haven't seen it.
Usually you don't get those.
Joel is here, I think, but I don't, I see Joel here. I don't know if he's saying anything.
There's residential at 49 John Street also, next door to where Jack was just
Okay.
referencing.
Not abutting this property, so no one's opposing this, I'm assuming.
No, the only thing that abuts this is 167 Old Post,
Okay,
and that's mine.
okay.
But you have,
No opposition.
you have Southport Green right here. 250 Pequot was also approved, which is just under the train tracks. And then right here in this property was approved for 18 units. And again, you're going to receive an application for 204 Old Post Road. That's gonna, is proposing 8 units. So there is residential in this area. And also, which is actually rare, I have to say, this complies with, a lot of times people go for variances on proportion of residential use within a building, the 50% limit that you have. This one is under because again, the first floor is retail, second floor is office, and the third floor is residential. So it is under the 50% rule that you have for the DCD.
Mr. Chair, if I could clarify for Commissioner Harrison that we adopted within our zoning regulations, the state statute requirements as relates to EV, and it's only triggered with a parking lot that is over 30 spaces. So it doesn't apply for a mandatory requirement for this proposed project. It's up to the applicant if they want to supply it. And then also to Commissioner Braun's question, the in the wetlands permit is in the agenda folder
Thanks.
for this
It
application.
was something, if you wanted a status space,
No,
we'd
no,
be
no, I was
happy to do
curious.
it, just not under the building.
Oh, I'm well aware.
Yeah.
Commissioner Braun.
I think somebody else has their hand up. so-
Sorry, Commissioner Randolph. Thank you.
Yep. So thank you for your thorough presentation. You've given us adequate information to make an assessment. And I think the quality of this project is what we've been hoping for with other projects. It's mixed use. It brings elements. You've got retail, you've got office, you've got residential. The character of the building matches the surrounding areas. It adds to the sidewalks. I'll get back to parking in a second, but for the sidewalk, had you considered moving the sidewalk back and having a street buffer of grass to match the sidewalk condition across the street?
I don't remember us considering that. I think we wanted to connect because, sorry, Commissioner, so you're saying,
Across the street, there's a buffer between the sidewalk and the street.
oh, okay, yeah, on the
Front
front
planting buffer over power lines above it, so there's no trees there.
On this side of the street, the sidewalk is directly adjacent to the road along that whole side of the street. There's no buffer. We can take a look to see if that's a possibility, but there's a lot of geometrically, it's very, very challenging in there.
That's why I asked if you considered it.
Yeah, we'd certainly be open to looking at. I know that one of the challenges here is because of the pinch, the parking is right up to the line here. And so if we could, it would have to be shifted back just slightly and then maybe a grass patch could be here, but it has to be sidewalk has to be 6 feet wide, if I remember from code comments.
Concrete.
That it has to be that wide. And again, we're tight here in area in the spaces, so.
So that leads to my second question. I saw, 24 spaces?
21 spaces.
21 spaces.
24 required.
And so could you just provide the breakdown of your spaces per, it seems like you may be over parked is one going with.
So under the regulations, the retail area would require 3.5 cars. The office would require 14.5. And the apartments, 3 apartments, 2 per unit, 6 cars. So that brings us to the 24. We got the variance down to 21, but that's why I was referencing you actually have in your regulations, we could have reduced it from 6 to 3 here in front of the commission as well.
I think it's worth noting that the time that the office is going to be using a lot is going to be slightly different from the time that the apartments will, and
I
that.
think you have too many parking spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, this area, first of all, this site is one of the biggest eyesores in the area. And so it's not only what you're putting in improvement, it's a high quality improvement. But it looks like it floods there too. I mean, it looks like at least, I don't know if it's.
Yeah, well, there's no drainage.
There's no drainage, but
Yeah.
In the back, there's some man-made wetlands back there that fill out. The site right now is 100% non-porous.
Right.
Between the asphalt and the building, there's no place for the water to go but into the wetlands. The location is stellar. absolutely I love it. I think it's amazing. It's a proximity to the Metro North tracks there. I think that place could be absolutely beautiful.
So getting back to parking, I know that we haven't had a chance to update our regulations, but if you could make it a more positive walking experience. And I don't know if we have that authority to allow a reduction in the parking.
That was the question I had.
Do.
What's our authority, Attorney Russo? 'Cause you guys-
Well, it's interesting. I mean, we got the variance down to down 3 spaces. But could you then also reduce it by another 3 spaces?
Is this to create more green space?
3 more.
That's what.
He's fine with it. I know he's fine with it. The question is, do you have a vehicle to do?
No, I understand it. I guess that's something we can track down.
I think you do, 25.4.2, when dwelling units are located in a commercial district as permitted, residential parking may at commission's discretion be reduced up to 50%. There's also another section that says when dwelling units are located in a commercial district wrong section. So I think you can do it by 50%.
Let's track that down.
Yep, I think you can also,
At the very least, they've met the parking requirements and
yep.
give them a little less with green space offset. I mean, so be it.
Make a really good project even better.
Oh, so
Well, and there's spaces, I think, particularly 21 that you can see here. There's some spaces that would allow us to improve the green space.
the goal is to throw the book at this one and make it absolutely beautiful. I love that section in town.
Right, well, I'm just giving it maybe another tool.
I love it.
To make the walk, because right now it's a wasteland to walk across there.
Right.
And you're improving it, but like across the street's a nicer place to walk, and so.
Mhm.
One of the 830Gs we approved on the other side of the post road, they were complaining about how difficult it was and rightfully, how difficult it was to walk to the train station, and this would at least
Yeah.
create another,
Bridge that gap.
improve a segment. So.
Anything else?
Happy to do that.
Commissioner Braun?
Could you just address the one question I always have, which is, industrial does not allow 8-30G. Unless you add residential, but you would be converting this to a DCD with residential.
Right,
that would
residential's
show this-
permitted, it would,
Yeah.
except you're under a moratorium.
Yes, and clearly you have design that you plan on effectuating. This is not some kind of concept, so.
I think 830G would also be limited by the parking on the site.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, he's also gonna live there, but he wants me to, yeah, he's also gonna live there, so I mean,
That's my plan.
but yeah, I think this is a conforming parking lot. So
Jack.
21 spaces for an 830G, it's not lying.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, sorry. We submitted a letter on traffic impact, so you have evidence in the record, as to traffic. It shows a minimal impact on traffic, extremely low trip counts. Just to quickly go through it, only 12 trips in the AM peak hour, that's 8 in, 4 out. There's 23 total trips in the PM peak hour, that's 10 in, 13 out. And 10 trips in the Saturday peak hour, that's 5 in, 5 out. This was Langen Engineering. They found the project resulted in nominal traffic and that the existing roadway infrastructure has capacity. The peak hour trips for the development constitute less than 1% of the total existing daily traffic. They also provided evidence that there was appropriate site distances in both directions on the exit drive. I will also just say, if you know that site and what was there before with the hair salon, there was 14 chairs in that hair salon. It was a hopping place and there's no curb cuts. So it was a little bit wild. So to be able to put in a proper traffic flow here. And also I just think from that prior existing condition, it's going to be a significant improvement traffic wise. Also considering again, that these two uses are the three uses, the residential and the commercial together are compatible with each other. The only other thing too I'll note is we're proposing a building that fits the site. The floor area of 150% is allowed in the DCD. We're only proposing 60.25%. So significantly less than half. And a lot coverage of 75% is allowed and only 29.32% is proposed. So significantly under those standards.
One way in and out, how are we with sightlines on the exit?
Yeah, that's in the traffic report, the traffic impact statement that was submitted. There is, looking right towards Pequot Ave, there's 336 feet. And then looking left towards John Street is 357 feet. That meets the standard that's required.
Thank you. Commissioner Braun?
I have the engineering comments. I think there's a typo on the date. It says 2022. That can't be right.
Well, it went to wetlands in 2022.
Well, that was a long time
Yeah.
ago. So
We had to get ZBA approval. We had to get WPCA approval, which, believe it or not, took a very long time because we couldn't get the rain events.
So I'm aware that conservation has a slightly more strict standard than engineering does for stormwater drainage, but it got a wetlands permit.
It did get a wetlands
So
permit.
that would have meant it necessarily satisfied what you're saying in engineering here, right?
Right, and then, and as with any of these applications, it's going through the building permit process
Okay.
again. It'll get reviewed by conservation. They had a couple conditions and that would be, have to be met, and engineering, all that. would
And
still
the
have to-
added ports that they wanted on the detention system. This is from 3 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah.
They wanted existing and proposed conditions. We put that
Okay.
in the report. Yep,
Anything else?
that's it.
I think we're good. All right, so I will end the initial presentation portion of these two applications. Is there any member of the public in person that wishes to be heard? These two applications at 95 Old Post Road. All right, not seeing anybody. Is there anybody joining us remotely that wishes to be heard on 95 Old Post Road? If you can please either sign in the chat or raise your digital hand. The raise hand function at the bottom of the dashboard. You have to identify yourself to us in order to speak. You see anybody, Mr. Mullen?
No, I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Last call, any member of the public in person or remotely wish to be heard in this application. Again, if you're joining remotely, please either sign in the chat or use the raise hand function bottom of the screen. Not hearing anybody, I'll close the public comment portion.
I was just gonna say, Chair, the application satisfies standards for a zone change. It's in accordance with the comprehensive zoning plan, as for the reasons stated earlier. The proposed uses are permitted within the DCD, including the residential being less than 50% of the floor area. We've submitted all the necessary plans, and that we believe this building and use are in conformance with the neighborhood to satisfy your special permit site plan standards.
Nobody's signed in the chat or anything like that, just a final
No.
check. All right. So I'll end the presentation for the hearings on these two items. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Attorney Bellis, I asked you earlier about 1477. How long do you have for that?
I'm gonna be about 2 minutes.
2 minutes for that?
I may have a few questions for Attorney Bellis.
Well, that's fine. Hold on. If it's gonna be that short, I'll take that out of just on Byroad Street.
No problem.
I imagine everybody here is for Byroad Street, right? Right, 5 minutes to do this other one for me, please. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm gonna call items 6 and 7 on our public hearing. Agenda modification application of 1477 Congress Street to establish a new section 3.8. Modification of zone change application of 1477 Congress Street to establish a Congress Street affordable housing district on land presently zoned AAA. Pursuant to section 830J, subsection 8H of the Connecticut General Statutes. Good evening, Attorney Bellis.
Good evening, everyone. For the record, I'm attorney Stephen Bellis, and I represent the applicant 1477 Congress Street LLC. You may all remember that you approved this application. I don't recall the date, but it was not that long ago. And as part of that approval, you had added what I call general conditions. Under 8-30, an applicant can request a modification to those conditions if it's filed within 15 days of the decision. this was. Again, they're minor, we call them minor modifications, so I'm not really changing the application. A minor modification under the Kaufman case just means that you either can delete or change the language of the condition. And I'm only talking about two conditions. The first one was was number 6 on the general conditions, and it was under emergency and service access. And I kind of did this to protect you guys, but I don't really have a problem with the beginning part of it. The site plan shall provide adequate turning radii, staging area, and access lanes for emergency apparatus and delivery vehicles. I have no problem with any of that. I got a little nervous when it says final plan shall require written sign off from the fire marshal and town engineer. Generally, they're given to the fire marshal to approve to see if they meet the code, but usually don't get sign offs for final site plans. I didn't want you guys delegating to another town agency, in this case, the town engineer, something that you're responsible for doing. So I just simply rewrote that for you, and I said, I'll read it. Final site plan shall comply with the 2022 Connecticut Fire Safety Code adopted pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Section 29-292. Second one was condition number 8. That was a little more problematic for me. I'll read it. 8, Merritt Parkway Conservancy Review. The applicant shall obtain written confirmation from the Merritt Parkway Conservancy regarding historic resources on or adjacent to the site. Any reasonable mitigation measures required by the Conservancy shall be incorporated into the site plan. So you may recall that what I had offered to the commission was to mitigate the view of the buildings, that we would do plantings of trees, whether they are evergreen or deciduous, I'm not sure, or maybe a combination of both. And that I offered that. So my change to that was the final site plan shall include landscaping of trees to mitigate the buildings being viewed from the Merritt Parkway. And I still agree to do that. My fear was that you're putting this application into the hands of a third party, that I'm not suggesting Joel Green isn't reasonable or his client may not be. I don't know that. And I don't think, I've worked with Joel for many years, but it may not be his call. So any reasonable mitigation measures required by the Conservancy, I don't know what that means. And what I think, what you think may be reasonable, what they think may be reasonable, what my client think may be reasonable, maybe 3 different things. So I just wanted that clarified. And I am not backing away from my offer to put landscaping of trees.
Okay.
So those are my only 2 points. They're called minor modifications, doesn't change the application.
They're modifications of the conditions that we put on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just so you know, the case law is pretty clear that those 2 conditions are still looked at in the light of 30GH, which is the whole 2-part test, is there a substantial health and interest? So that's why I pointed that out. That's how you
Really,
look.
this was under the reasonable modifications language. Is kind of what we put these conditions.
Yeah,
on.
I don't want to go nuts. And
No,
beat a dead
that's
horse.
fine.
Yeah.
Just
So that's why I wanted to point it out.
Commissioner Harrison.
Actually, I'm fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's all I have to say.
No, that's fine. It's kind of like it's kind of like an 830G's applicant's request for friendly amendment by all accounts. Nicely.
I'm very friendly.
Got it.
So,
Questions? Commissioner Randolph?
So you're limiting the fire to a single code and not the review by the reviewers?
no. I was objecting to the sign off.
I didn't finish my question.
Oh, I apologize, sir.
So the other thing would include the IFC and the local fire code?
I have no problem with it. Let me make it clear, no problem with either of those gentlemen reviewing it, but the final sign off, that was the concern I had.
Could you explain that?
Yeah, because the final site plans are approved by your commission.
But so
If a town engineer doesn't sign off on something, I don't know what that means.
if we said sign off on the issues relating to the fire and fire access issues, would that clarify the issue?
I think we had building permits in the back of our minds as far as getting their sign off,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's,
that's different.
it's review and approval by qualified and licensed professionals.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. Commissioner.
I think building permits are different.
You had building permits in the back of your mind when you had those sign offs.
I think when you're.
No, I see
approve a
your
Site
point.
plan.
Okay, and that'd be a little different.
But I had,
Go ahead,
I
Commissioner
had
Randolph.
I had site plan in mind because I read some of the other feedback on it. And I still think there's not a meeting of the minds on, there's a focus on the building and protecting life safety within the building and property. That's different than access to the building and egress from the building and servicing of the building. So that's the site plan, which, with all due respect to Mr. Versteeg, is different than my understanding. There's two different components to it. There's getting out of the building not burning and the property not being damaged. And then there's getting emergency vehicles into the building and into the surroundings. Those are two different issues. So I just want to make sure both of those are addressed properly and reviewed by a proper professional. That was my intent. So building permit pertains to building not burning and people getting out, but the site plan and the review pertains to access, which is my main concern on this project.
I mean, we
I
normally,
understand your position.
all right, I think there's a way of molding the two together.
Yeah,
because
which
we
is
do-
fine with me, Commissioner
I do
Randolph.
think we normally get some feedback from our fire marshal. It may not be a signature on the bottom of the page, but it is like a sign off as far as an email saying, I'm okay with this. So I think that's kind of where we're going with that.
I think we're on the same page.
I think we're able to, we can wordsmith that, I think, if we need to. We can discuss it in executive
Will you
session.
clarify, so these are adders to conditions 6 and 8, they're not taking away from 6?
I reworded them, but you can reword them again if you'd like.
What you're saying,
You already had a condition 6 and 8.
yes.
And I'm
So
just
this is
asking you
adding
to
on.
modify them,
Oh, you're replacing it with this language or you're adding on with this language?
replacing it with the language.
Oh. Well, okay, so 8 says you shall obtain written confirmation from the Merritt Parkway Conservancy regarding historic resources. Any reasonable mitigation measures required shall be incorporated. You're getting rid of all that and just replacing it with the final plans shall include landscaping to mitigate the buildings. So who decides if that's adequate?
Your board. The planning
So
and
You're
zoning.
you're making the language less strong. Okay.
I don't know about that. I think I'm putting it in your hands, not some third party.
So how would we do that? Would we then have a hearing where that we would hear from the?
Well, this is the 1477 Congress where we passed the regulation amendments with the conceptual plan. So as for this and 4221, they need to come back to us with a site plan. So we are gonna, if they come back to us with it under these amendments, whether these are not or under the regulations, a site plan will be brought to us in the normal course under 830G and under these regulations that were passed under 830G.
Except that they can't file an 830G, so I still don't,
Well,
maybe our town attorney can clarify all that, but.
I mean, we've
That's not
discussed
That's
that.
not what I'm here tonight about.
No, I know, we've discussed that, but that's
I
okay.
heard it
We
before.
we can talk.
That's all right. You're entitled to your opinion. I get it.
We all are.
You all are. So that's all I have
I
on
can't
that.
support any weakening of well, we're not voting tonight, so I
I'm
don't.
not voting tonight.
Okay.
I'm just presenting.
All right, any other questions? Straightforward.
Yes. I have the
All
next.
right, so I will, all set?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll end the initial presentation of this application. And any member of the public joining us in person that wish to be heard on these two applications, Attorney Green, come on up. And just out of curiosity, is there anybody else? Doesn't look like I thought that was one of, any member of the public that wish to be heard on these two applications regarding 1477 Congress Street LLC, please either sign in the chat function or use the raise hand function at the bottom of the dashboard. Attorney Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission staff. My name is Joel Green. I practice law. The law offices of Green and Gross, and it's in Bridgeport, and it's my pleasure to appear once again for the commission on this application on behalf of the Merritt Parkway Conservancy and the Greenfield Village Improvement Society. I just very briefly, and I'm just looking at the modifications on my phone. It seems to me that the commission should, on the revision to condition 8, should consider something a bit more robust than simply the final site plan shall include landscaping of trees to mitigate buildings being viewed from the Merritt Parkway. As we've discussed, the Merritt Parkway is a treasured historic resource, and perhaps the commission can adopt something that establishes a lack of adverse impact on the historic resource. And I don't expect, and I think Attorney Bellis's comment is fair, that it probably is not appropriate for it to be reviewed by, a private entity as a condition of approval. But I think that the commission, in the fair exercise of its jurisdiction, even on an 8-30G application, can make findings on the potential for adverse impacts on historic resources, which is a protected factor under 8-30G under public health and safety and environmental matters, and it falls under environmental protection. So I would just urge the commission to beef up that language a bit so that it's not quite so watered down.
Beef up the proposed language amendment. Commissioner Levy.
Yeah, so perhaps something like that they would, clearly, the Merritt Parkway Conservancy can't make the final decision.
Correct.
But certainly we could require, recommend that they may consider any mitigation suggestions by the Merritt Parkway, Conservancy.
Stakeholders.
Who are stakeholders.
Such as, sure.
Such as, and that their site plan would, basically focus on trying to meet the goal, or the site plan should consider and address mitigation efforts sufficient to mitigate the impact upon the site, historic
Resource.
something of that nature.
Sure. Something like that.
Which might include trees.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Commissioner Randolph.
We add the applicant's sole cost and sole cost and expense.
I think that would be the case anyways,
Yeah,
but
it would be anyway.
Just want to
Adopt
clarify.
the language, right? Only
yeah, I mean, executive session, we would be discussing this and meeting out the language, wordsmithing it, but I mean, I think that's generally what the case would be.
But just,
anyways.
just the intent to make sure that the evaluation isn't done and then the town is presented with the bill for the evaluation and the mitigation.
That wasn't
You're shaking your head no, but when none of us are here and someone else is interpreting the language, it could be interpreted a different way. We trust each other. It's the people who come behind us who we don't trust, so.
Okay, something that, yeah,
All
we
I
can
have.
discuss it. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Last call, I didn't see anybody in person. Is that still the case? Looks to be. Anybody joining us remotely wish to be heard in this application? Mullen, anybody?
No, sir.
I'll close the public comment portion of this application. Hey, Bellis,
No, I have nothing else.
one question I have is when we're deciding on the kind of wordsmithing it, generally any kind of changes, at least to regulations, I always try and stay in the footprints without having to renotice it. But I think in this case, with it being a modification of amendments that we already passed and it being under 830G, I don't think I have to worry about necessarily staying within the footprint of your amendments. Do you think?
Oh, I'm not sure I understand your question, but I did notice this and I did give certified mailings to everybody
Okay.
about our hearing tonight.
No, I guess
And I submitted that to Emmeline today.
in the normal course, if I'm doing a regulation amendment, let's just say it was a setback of 10 feet. Or 20 feet, make it easier. If the commission during the executive session was to amend that, we can go 25 feet because that's more of a protection within the footprint of what the original application was. But you can't go outside of 20 feet, like 15 feet setback without renoticing a hearing for a regulation amendment. That's been the kind of our practice. That's how I interpret the statute, at least, as far as having to renotice things. but I think in this case, I don't think I need to worry about that
I
because
don't think you do
it's a
either.
modification of an 830G application that we've already kind of approved with conditions. It's a modification of them.
That's right.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to put that out there so we can worry about it later. Anything else?
No, sir.
I'll end the hearing on this matter. Your public for on 108 Byro, thank you for your patience. I know we went way beyond it. So the next few are 108 Byro number Qs, so.
All right, I'll call the next and last three items together. Modification / amendment application of attorney Stephen Bellis on behalf of contract purchasers 108 Byro LLC to create a new section 5.3 for a Byro development district pursuant to section 830G, subsection 8H of the Connecticut General Statutes. Zone change modification / amendment application of attorney Stephen Bellis on behalf of contract purchasers 108 Byro LLC to establish a Byro development district on land presently zoned Residence C pursuant to section 830G. And zoning compliance modification / amendment application of attorney Stephen Bellis on behalf of contract purchasers 108 Byro LLC pertaining to a new 100-unit residential development pursuant to section 830G, the Connecticut General Statutes in a residency zone. Or is yours?
Okay, thank you. Again, for the record, I'm attorney Stephen Bellis. I represent the applicant, 108 Byro LLC, and if Byro Street LLC, sorry. I did give notice of this public hearing of the modification. And I gave the certified list to Emmeline, and I have the original here with me. So notice was given of this hearing. Just to refresh your memory, it wasn't that long ago. 108 Byro was an 8-30G application that was for an apartment building for 100 units. There was a decision entered by this commission that basically denied the application without prejudice. Regardless whether it was denied without prejudice or with prejudice, the applicant under 830G has the ability to submit what we call a modification to the application, as long as that's done within the appeal period, which is 15 days. So this application was submitted as a modified plan on or about September 3rd, 2025, and that was within the 15 days. So unlike what I just spoke to you about before, which was just simply a minor modification, this is a major modification. A major modification is like a new application. So the commission has to have a public hearing because you already had a public hearing. That's why I'm here tonight. The commission has, according to the statute, 65 days to rule on the modification from the date it was submitted. So those are kind of like the ground rules, and it's not uncommon for applicants to submit something that looks submit a modification after it learns what the commission's concerns were. And in this case, I listened to your concerns, and then I met with the client and the experts, and we tried to come up with something that we think helps you help us, right? That's what the goal of this 830G process is. So let me just give you a little background. So there's a case, Brennmore Properties, I think you're familiar with it, versus P&Z of Lisbon. It's a Supreme Court case that came out in 2016. And the court held that alleged noncompliance with the fire code did not constitute a valid ground to deny an affordable housing application. In that case, the applicant submitted changes to correct, quote, I'll call it, any deficiencies. So this is kind of like what we're doing here in this case, similar to Brennmore. Now, in our case, we believe the original application did comply with the fire code. But notwithstanding that, we have submitted a modified plan that I think clearly addresses the issues that the Planning and Zoning Commission may have had with respect to the fire code safety issues. So in this modification, I'm just going to hit what we did, and then I'll have a couple experts tell you the details. So what we did in this modification was we increased the setbacks of the building. And then I'll have Brian Mathirak go over that. We provided a fire truck turning plan on both Haley Avenue and Byro Street. I think that was a concern that the commission had. There's also been now a demonstrated turnaround on the approved 105 by row project for a fire truck. So since this project is right down the street, the fire truck could take advantage of that particular turnaround. We heard you talk about density, so we reduced the total number of units from 100 to 83. And then on the top floor, we reduced the number of apartments to 4 penthouse units on the top floor. Even though we reduced all the number of units from 100 to 83, we did not remove any of the parking inside this building. So we kept 5 parking spaces on the upper level and 75 parking spaces on the lower level. So the parking has stayed the same, but the number of units has been reduced. After we submitted this modification, I believe that it was that staff gave it to the fire marshal for his review. I think that was done on 9/24/25. And I think that you'll see, hopefully you have his comments. I'm not sure if you do or don't. But he concurred that the fire code issues have been satisfied. And he states where he agrees. There are other fire code issues that were in the report, in the fire marshal's report, and they get addressed when the building gets built, like having sprinklers and blah, blah, blah. So what I have tonight is Brian Nesteriak, who was our engineer, and Joe Versteeg here. I would like Brian just to go over some of the details a little bit. I know it's late and you're tired, but just to give you a little bit of a flavor of some of the changes that I took notes, and which I hopefully they answer what you had asked me, or maybe you didn't ask me, but what your concerns were. So I'll start with Brian, who I believe is online, if you can somehow get him to speak. Hi, Brian.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. For the record, Brian Nesteriak, professional engineer and land surveyor with B&B Engineering. I'll try to make this as quick as possible. Some of this might repeat what Mr. Bella said, but again, I'll be pretty quick. So the footprint got dropped down from about 35,000 to 31,000 square feet. Again, 100 units down to 83 units. There's instead of 5 floors of residential, there's now 4 floors. The height dropped from 90 feet down to 77 feet. Parking has been designed for at least 1.7 spaces per unit. There will be assigned spaces for these. So there's going to be at least one space. Well, there'll be one space assigned for each 1-bedroom unit and 2 spaces assigned for each 2-bedroom unit. It's a good time to say there's going to be 40 1-bedroom units and 43 2-bedroom units. And then the remaining 14 spaces, which will be up on the upper garage, those are going to be assigned for guests. There will be EV spaces, 9 EV spaces in the lower garage. Like Mr. Bella said, reducing the size of this project allowed the project to be pulled away from the streets. So we went from about 4.5 feet on Byrow Street to 15.5 feet. And then we went from about 10.5 feet on Halley to 14.5, give or take. The garage ramp up on Finn, which goes to the upper garage, was moved from the south side to the north side. This allowed for a larger vegetative buffer near the residential house on the street.
Mr. Nesteriak, can you just identify the areas you're talking about now that we have a screen share going on?
Sure. Let's go to the next page. All right. So you want me to back up at all, or do you want me to just go over what the entrance that I was just talking to you about?
Anybody?
Show all of the differences that he's been mentioning so we could see it schematically.
Would you back up to the previous point you made?
Sure. So these, let's just start with the setbacks. Now I don't think I can show you this, right? So over on that left side there, the building was pulled away. So that was about 4.5 feet before. Yeah, right there. So that was about 4.5 feet. Now we're up to about 15.5 feet. Over on the right side where Halley Avenue is, that was about 10.5 feet. Now we're at 14.5 feet. So we were able to pull that away. The garage ramp, which is shown here on the top right to Finn Street, right there. Yeah. So that was on the opposite side of the building before. It was over to the left there. Right. So we moved that over. It gives you that a little more room for vegetative buffer on the left-hand side there. The ramp was also increased from 20 feet to 22 feet. Even though that is adequate, I do believe there were some concerns that that wasn't wide enough. So that we were able to increase that. This does help in a variety of ways. One is sight lines. I know sight lines, even though they were adequate, but this allows the sight line for that entrance to be able to look up Finn Street. So I think it's like 300 feet now. And then we have an additional sight line distance going to the, to the west down Finn Street. So the sight lines improved in that, and for that intersection there. The sight lines on the other two entrances remain essentially the same, and those were adequate with the last application as well. Like Mr. Bella said, we did include a fire truck turning plan. If you want to go down, probably 3 or 4 sheets. I think one, keep going. One more, right there. So these are fire truck, this is actually a larger fire truck than what Fairfield has, but it's the only one that I could find that was close. But either way, it shows that a fire truck can turn around by utilizing the entrances on Biro and Halley. Then there's another option over on the development over 105 Biro Street. So there's multiple options here. The garage for that lower level was increased to 14 feet to make sure that the fire truck could pull in there along with any other emergency vehicles. I believe the fire truck is about 11 feet, so there's ample room there to allow that to use that. The other changes, and I can go through them, but I don't want to waste your time. They basically were adapting the rest of the site plan. So the grading, some of the sidewalks had to be adjusted. The landscaping obviously changed. Soil erosion measures, drainage changed a little bit, but all that pretty much was adequate from before. That's pretty much the elevator speech of what changed, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Braun?
How is the height of 90, going down from 90 to 77? How does that, do you have like a rendering of what it used to look like versus now? Because the height is 90 from grade. Does that mean 90 all through? Because this is on a hill. So
Yeah,
how
no,
does-
that's based on, I'm sorry.
How does it affect the downhill houses on Halley or on Biro?
Well, it definitely came down about 13 feet. But the numbers that I was giving you was based off the average grade. So basically right through the center of that, there was a pretty extensive calculation on my plans for the average grade.
What's the height of grade, like on the downhill side where that's where it faces the houses closest?
I have some renderings, but you may have them as well. I can give you the numbers if you just give me 1 second.
You can share screen if you'd like. You have the ability.
Sure.
Just stop sharing now.
I don't see anything called rendering in here, but architectural plans maybe
Probably.
would be in there.
Let me know when you see it.
I see it.
Oh, that's the rendering, okay. And that takes.
So,
one floor
There was
off?
another floor on this before. So it doesn't give you a height here. I'd have to kind of look around. This is, it's saying 83 feet, but that's to the bottom here.
What's
I
the
could pull
vantage
up.
point? Okay, the
What's-
view left side elevation, where's that looking? Standing on Biro?
This is over in Halley. And I have the other ones too, if you'd like. So that's on Biro.
So you're standing on Biro and the house on the downhill side is on the right on this rendering?
The house, yeah, the house would be over here. Sure.
This is the right side elevation plan. Looking down the hill, I guess.
Do you want to see this side? Is that what you said?
I'm just trying to figure out how much higher it is than the downhill neighbor.
I don't have that off the top of my head. My guess is if that's a standard, that's a 2.5 story, maybe, yeah, 2.5 story. It's gonna go up maybe halfway, if I had to guess.
Is grade at the where it says 14 feet, is that the garage that's under below grade, or where's
Yeah,
the?
this would be the entrance over here, or actually it might be right here.
Where's grade?
To Biro.
Okay. So it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 stories above grade.
Yeah, plus the garages.
Is the garage all below grade right there on the downhill side?
Well, it's below grade on the uphill side, but it's exposed grade on the downhill side because just.
Can you show where grade is on this plan? What line shows grade? Where the
Right
grade?
here.
Oh, so the whole thing is above grade. Oh, okay, I see.
The back of this garage is not, so this is all under grade here.
So on the downhill side where the houses are, it's actually like 6 stories tall still, but it used to be 7 stories, I guess.
Yeah, it's something like
Added
that.
the garage. So it's like 6.5 stories. And again, what is the height on that downhill side? Looking at the right, the plan is called the right side elevation plan. What is the height above grade right there at the end on the downhill side?
$83 feet.
83 feet? Okay, and that includes, those are the penthouse things on the top there?
I
Okay.
believe so, yeah.
And are there HVAC or anything above that, like elevator shafts or anything above the penthouse level, or are they incorporated within the penthouse level?
Give me a second on that one.
Thank you. I can't do the math because I don't see any numbers on this. Well, I see numbers on the left side. You could probably figure that out from there.
Yeah, these, but this is the plan view. I need to pull up the roof plan. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, that's probably.
I don't know for sure. I'd have to find out. I'm pretty sure that the mechanical units are going to be within this penthouse somehow on this
So
level and not above it. So you
when I
won't
look
be
at
able to see them.
yeah, I hear you. When I see the front elevation plan, that's when you're looking from Finn Street, right? You see the
This is
elevator
from-
right in the middle,
Yes,
and then there's like a thing on the top. I don't know what you call that,
right. This.
little house-looking thing on the top. How high is that thing? Is that 83 feet?
That's the 83 feet. Yeah,
Okay. And that's
from
probably,
the highest point. Yeah.
okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Nasiriak, the slope of the parking ramp, has that changed in relocating it?
No, it's still 10%.
Questions? Commissioner Randolph.
Yeah,
And I
so
can-
is there any, we asked last time, you said you lengthened the ramp. Wouldn't that have made it less steep?
It didn't. I'm not exactly sure, but it didn't. It's still 10%. 10% is a very typical ramp for any kind of driveway or parking garage. But we still have a flat section, obviously, up above and a vertical curve that'll allow this to be a safe transition down to the garage.
So on Plan South, I don't think I found this drawing, but on A2, we're looking at A2. Is that are those stairs going along basically connecting Finn and Biro?
Right. So there'll be a set of stairs over here as an additional access that can go around.
So if you're walking from Finn to Biro, how do you do that?
from Finn to Biro.
Yep.
There won't be, you'd have to go through the building.
So is there a way to, because I know right now you can walk, there's stairs, I think they're gated off right now, but but there used to be stairs that connected Finn to Biro. How are you gonna maintain that connection?
There is no plan to. It probably could be added with additional stairs.
So could you look at that, please?
Sure.
And then the setbacks, I'm looking at 1101. I don't know if that's the best one to look at setbacks.
I think it is.
Yeah, so 1101, what's the thick dotted line? So I see it,
Wait, that's the old one. Sorry.
southern portion, just right off of, if you go up Haley Avenue and turn left, you see 14 feet. What's that hard? 1101. I think you were just on there.
Yeah, no, I was on the old one. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. 1101. Yeah, so if you go down, move the drawing up. So right where the word says Haley Avenue, see where it says 14 feet right there?
Yes.
What's that rectangle right there, the hard line rectangle?
This?
Yes.
So that's a section of exterior parking that's going to protrude out from the building. So it's kind of like a parking lot. But the building, this is the building, and this is a parking, this is just a parking
So
lot.
is that a grade?
That grade, yeah.
Okay, so because you said you showed 24, I gotta zoom in on that.
Yep, 24.8 to here, sure.
So the building setback 24.8?
Correct. And this is just an asphalt parking area.
Okay, yeah, so it's if you will, a drafting error.
No,
No, I'm saying that that hard, because the hard line elsewhere shows the perimeter of the building. Does that show?
I mean, I guess it's an ambiguity. This is the building and this is a curb.
I'm sorry, show me again. Where's the edge of the building? Is it where it says 14?
See the little grayness, the gray dots?
Yeah.
So that's building and this is curb.
Okay, so that's a curb. Okay, good. And so can you basically, is it going to be pedestrian access all around the building?
Not on this side. So there'll be pedestrian access to here because there's an entrance there. This gets pretty steep over here. So there's really no.
Is that flat there?
No. We can go to the grading plan. So it drops down, it kind of follows the way the street goes. So we're gonna be up at, say, 42 up here, and the existing grade's at 38.
You have the side elevation?
The side elevation on that would be.
Hilly elevation?
Oh, wrong one, sorry. There you go.
Is it flat right there?
Well, that's what the architectural rendering shows, but that's not the way it is.
So it's a drafting error?
I would say that this elevation, the existing grading, I guess would be a drafting area. I mean, this is just considered to be a rendering of the building. I don't think it's meant to show that, but.
Permit circulation around the perimeter of the building for not only for safety and convenience.
I'm sorry?
Permit, can you make a reasonable modification of the design so there's full perimeter access for both safety and convenience?
We could probably get a flat section around that building. Yes, we could. One way or another.
Those were my, and I guess, can we just look at the elevation on Biro? So you're set back how far now?
On that side, we are set back about 15.5 feet.
And you're open at the ground there?
We're open on this section right here.
So the neighbors are gonna be looking into a big void?
They'll be looking into a garage for some
Can you
areas,
put,
but we do have a lot of landscaping over here that we were proposing to try to soften that appearance.
here. Yeah, but Can you put screening, some type of, physical screen there?
Sure, I'm
There-
sure. I don't know if the architect specifically specified that, but I mean, that's pretty common and I'm sure that they would be willing to do that.
Yeah, because this is where the brick turns dark on the right side there, that's set back, correct?
Over here?
I'm looking at the plan. So that whole area to the left, that's where the garage entrance is. I think the garage entrance is the second penetration right there. Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
So if you could put screening in, that would make it less horrible.
sure.
That's all I had.
Any other questions for Mr.
And,
Mysterious?
I'm sorry, screening on the other side, and similar matching screening on the other side. where there's
Sure,
not
yeah.
Physical screening, not landscaping.
I know what you mean.
Commissioner Levy?
Now, does the, for want of a better word, cupola or steeple serve any functional purpose, or is that purely aesthetic?
Aesthetic.
Architectural.
Thank you, Mr. Mysteriak.
Sure.
Attorney Bowles?
Okay, thank you. Oh, did you?
I'm sorry, continue. You're not done, right?
No,
So.
I wasn't done. I'm done with him. No, I just wanted, how we did. I just wanted to have Joe Versteeg go over a little bit of the changes that we made with respect to the comments that the fire marshal had. So I don't know if you can patch him in. And then,
Everybody hear me?
yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening all. Joe Versteeg, Versteeg Associates for the record. Yeah, I'll be very brief. The fire marshal's office issued a code enforcement note on September 24th. It had 23 items on it. All of them that were identified in this list were actual code requirements that have to be complied with, so there's absolutely no issue. There were only 3 questions, items number 8, 21, and 22. Number 8 dealt with he was concerned about the impact of fire department operations on Finn Street with roadside parking. And that is a 24-foot roadway now, and it's already signed on the southerly side, no parking. If they would like additional signage or ground markings, that's within the fire safety code, that's certainly acceptable. Number 21 dealt with ancillary systems, generators, solar systems, or other special equipment. There is a generator. It is located on site. It's shown on, I believe, on sheet A1 in the upper left-hand corner. And then there was a question about an item 22 about roof access, and that it wasn't shown. It is required. There is 2 stairs going up to A7, the penthouse. And from there, it'll either be a ship's ladder or code compliant ladder through a roof scuttle up to the top, the unoccupied roof deck. Other than that, there was a question about the size of the elevator, and yeah, anything 4 or more stories, the elevator has to accommodate an ambulance size stretcher, and it does that. Has been sized for that. And the EV parking stations are going to be located on the upper deck, which will be exposed to the outside atmosphere rather than be within the lower deck with a roof atop. And that's about it, unless you have any questions or comments.
Questions?
Commissioner Randolph?
Mr. Versteeg, thanks for your more thorough, thanks for getting a better connection with the fire marshal. I'm just trying to pull up his letter here. He said in many places appears to meet. That seems to be ambiguous to me. I'm not used to seeing, and he says this on, go through it for the record, number 4, number 7, number 12, number 14. I think there's a couple more in here, but what does he mean by appears to meet versus approving it definitively? Is there gonna
Well,
be,
Oh, was there more to that? I'm sorry.
What, is it gonna be a second review?
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be a second review. I think, and I don't want to speak for the fire marshal, but this terminology of appears to meet or appears to be addressed. In that these are preliminary documents that, and I think, in a quick glance, he said, yeah, it appears to me that, I mean, you're showing a fire department turnaround, you're showing that the building will be sprinkled, you're showing, indicating that a fire alarm, but shop drawings, and once detailed drawings are actually submitted under the building permit process, he probably didn't spend the 30 hours or so that would be required to determine compliance for a planning and zoning set of drawings.
Appreciate that clarification. So could you just, for my own information on the way this type of review is conducted in Fairfield, and we have members of the public here, could you please, because the fire issues were one of my greatest concerns, in the fire marshal's note listing the 23 items seems to be a much more complete review than the previous review, which was brief. Can you explain the process from here?
Yeah, sure. And I'll note that typically Fairfield is one of the few towns that actually has all of the code officials, health, safety, and so forth, all sit down at the initial page turn on a project that's proposed. And that's where you get comments as far as, it's a residential building, make sure it's going to be sprinkled. And it looks like it exceeds the parameters of a residential sprinkler. So make sure it's NFPA 13 and make sure it's got a fire alarm system, and, it's over 4 stories. So will the elevator be sized properly? It's over 4 stories. So just make sure that the elevator's on a generator. And, it might not be a bad idea to do this. So that Fairfield's one of the few towns that does that. Typically, once the project passes zoning, that's where the time and effort is spent to develop what the state statute and the building code and the fire code require, called construction documents. And as you know, as an architect, they go from several pages to several hundred pages, where we detail every aspect of the project, from the size, thickness of the footings, to the compressive strength of the concrete, to the number of rebars within, to the dimensional criteria for the wood, whether they're going to be engineered lumber or spec lumber, down to the shingles on the roof, all the way down to the residential appliances that are going to be installed in the building, to the doorknobs and toilets, and those that are modified and specialized for accessible units for mobility impairments. So when those are submitted at the time of building permit application, that's when the building official sits down to review his documents for compliance with the building code, mechanical and plumbing and accessibility, electrical and mechanical codes. And that's where the fire marshal sits down with his fire code and does a similar review for the requirements within the fire safety code. And only when they're approved do you get a building permit to construct it.
And yeah, one more question. So one of my main series of questions was around the turnaround, and they've shown that in the, I think in the engineering and the architectural sets.
Yes.
Mr. Mullen, I'm gonna see if I can find it before you can, but do you remember where that was?
The architectural plans you like to see?
I think it was.
They were on the site drawings.
Was it the site plan or architectural?
I think it was.
Site plan, I believe. Let's see.
You want me to put those up?
Yes, please.
And it's, 21-02. I'm sorry, 02.
Yeah, that's it right there. So, yeah, I think there's a second set that doesn't use the neighbor's proposed improvement, but this is close. So there's a second drawing where you just,
Okay.
yeah, where you turn into the garage. It's almost mirrored up. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, so, for turnarounds, it's permitted to go onto private property. Is that typically on a public way, or you just need to meet the requirement? If you could educate me on that one.
Yeah, there's no restriction in the fire code. It's just, do you have the ability to provide the turnaround that satisfies the fire truck dimensions?
Yeah, and so this is the Y turnaround that's specified in the code we were discussing last time.
Yes.
All right, I just wanted to highlight that because that was one of my main concerns last time, so.
Any other questions? Commissioner Braun.
I have did you already address this Finn Street access, the width of the Finn Street? Because I've been on Finn Street. It seems very narrow and you said they're not allowed to park on the south side, but they do park on the north side, right? And that was their question number 8. How has that been addressed? It says it may impact operations of the fire department.
Yeah, it may impact. Like I said, you need to have a required fire lane of 20 feet in width. I believe the roadway is 24 feet. So you'd have to restrict parking on that to provide the 20-foot roadway without an encroachment.
On the north side and the south side? of Finn Street?
I believe so.
You have to have no parking. How far down on Finn Street would you have to have no parking?
It would just be the width of the building.
Okay, and what is the width of the building up there?
Well, I meant just across the front of the building. What's the width across the front? I don't have that information right now.
And then, can you address this? We got a letter from a neighbor who had spoken to the fire department, and I'm just gonna ask you if you could address this. Moving the lower parking garage for turnaround purposes, was it a possibility that the tower ladder truck with a cost of over 1 million, which is 10 feet, 10 inches tall and 41 feet, 5 inches long, would have to use this garage entrance exit for turnaround? For drawing 21-01, the fire truck is pulling into the garage totally. If the truck is 10 feet, 10 inches, and the garage ceiling is 12 feet, 4 inches per drawing A-9, then it gives the lower garage level. That fire truck doesn't have enough headroom. It has to do with clearance. Can you address that?
Well, I can start. I thought that we raised the level of the garage. I thought it was raised to a 14-foot clearance. And so that's how we addressed it.
Okay, can Mr. Versteeg indicate if that answers the question?
Yes, that would. Yeah, there was sufficient, the garage floors and the openings were raised to provide sufficient clearance for the.
So the garage is not
for the height of the
12.
ladder truck.
The garage is not 12 feet, 4 inches high. It's 14 feet high. Where the
Right.
entrances are on Biro, where the entrances, Biro and Halley?
Just chiming in here, this is Brian Asteriak again. Yeah, I can pull up that plan again and show you. I think they're referencing the previous plans.
Okay,
It's 14 feet.
okay, it is 14 feet.
I believe so.
Okay. And also, there's a schematic that Mr. Versteeg gave us about the fire access. Could you just explain that a little bit to us? Because I couldn't really understand it.
You mean a previous memo?
You had, I have it now. It was part of this package, I think, a schematic. It says, it's in this package that I just downloaded for this modified application. It says Biro schematic. It's got like blue and red markings on it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you can see that, but yeah. Is that
No,
new?
I remember it. That was in response to Mr. Randolph's disagreement with my application of the code. Yeah, that's the one.
Can you just explain what all that means in terms of
Yeah.
access?
The gray building is 108 Biro, and as identified, all the purple or lavender buildings are identified as existing buildings or properties. So the concern was that to reach these driveway points for turns around, our argument was that the code requires that you be able to get a fire truck within 50 feet of an exterior door. And if you just look at the driveway on the right-hand side, I believe that's Holly, that if I take the point where I'm at the entrance to the building and I back away from that 50 feet, Then the question is, how far am I away from the cross street that runs across the bottom of the property? And the actual dead end, our argument was that it's only 136 feet. So none of these dead ends exceeded 150 feet. And we posed this to the state fire marshal, who's the final authority on interpreting the code by state statute. And it was their opinion that, or their ruling that my application here was correct. That the dead ends were less than 150 feet and no turnarounds were required. Subsequent to this, the design of the building did change and it was adjusted.
So Mr. Versteeg, what you just said is that after the commission voted on the original application, you got an opinion from a ruling from the state?
Yes.
Okay, so that came in after, and in any case, you're suggesting it's essentially moot because that applied to the previous design, which has since been modified.
Correct.
Thank you.
Follow-ups. So you still have to have so if a fire truck, the 10 feet, 10-inch tall, 41-foot, 5-inch long fire truck will go into the parking garage from Halley and into the parking garage from Biro, it can fit vertically in, right?
Yes.
And then to get out, it has to back out on each of those roads?
It can pull forward and then back into the garage and then drive outward.
How would it normally go in? Backwards or forwards?
Most likely backwards.
Why is that?
Well, you pull forward and you back into it and then you drive out. If you pull into it forward and you back, either way, you could pull in forward and then back up. Either way you choose to do it, allows you the ability to drive out rather than back up the entire distance.
So when you did when the plans were revised, that narrowed the building back away from each of those streets?
Yes, it did.
Is that what's providing the adequate turnaround that you need to go in and out of the building?
It gave you more room, yes.
And then can you explain some of these comments, actual dead, so this plan is actually showing you don't have to actually go into the building because the fire truck only has to go up below where the building is? Is that what this is telling us?
Yeah, you only have to back in sufficient distance where you can then turn your wheels and drive out.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying based on the distance, I need this explained a little better. So a fire truck is not required to travel beyond this point, and that's below the house that's where the house on Biro is, but below this building, right?
Right.
But it has to go higher up just to get in and out of the dead end road, right? So it has to go in and use it as a turnaround. Is that?
Right, right. Now, let me offer this, that if Halley and Biro continued on towards the front of the building, that the dead end would be considered from the entrance into the garage up to the 150-foot beyond. So if the fire truck could drive 130 feet or so beyond the garage, that would constitute a dead end. And then within the 150, they could back up to this turnaround and then reverse their direction.
Totally lost me.
The concern in the code is that they don't want you to have to back a fire truck more than 150 feet.
Now I understand. Okay. Thank you.
Good for Mr. Versteeg. So,
Thank you, Mr. Versteeg.
yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe. So in conclusion, I did draft what we call a modified text amendment and incorporated all these changes that we talked about, of the 83 units, and I did a modified affordable plan that would get you 25 affordable units. And then all those modified plans have been submitted and are I think they're revised as of September 3rd, 2025. So those are the documents you should be looking at. But that's all I had to give you an overview of the modifications that we made. I hope you appreciate that we did this to respond to your concerns that you may have had with the project. And hopefully that these modifications would be approved by this commission. That's our goal.
Commissioner Braun, go ahead.
I do have another question. I don't remember when this was approved. Was it in August? Because since then, I think we've had 2 other approvals come in the vicinity of other developments, like 105 Biro was approved after this, right? I don't know if you were the lawyer. on that.
Yeah, I was the lawyer.
And that's 39 units, I think, or 49 units, and
You're close. I don't want to quote it.
48, something like that. And that's right down the hill from this. And then Berkeley, we just got a loss in court, and that adds another, can't remember how many, but maybe 40 units. And that's not on this road, but it's nearby. I think Tunks's Hill settled before you had before we voted on this, but so do you think we should update the traffic report? Because I don't think there's no traffic report now, and I don't know how that works with a modification, but this is kind of like a new application in a way.
So the modification was to reduce the number, obviously it reduced the number of units. So I don't know that would change it would only be more favorable, I believe, to us, right? I don't think it has any additional impact is what I'm trying to say. If we increase the number of units, then I get it. But I think the fact that we reduced it kind of alleviates that problem.
Depending on, I guess, how much was the increase was to offset the decrease. Because 105 Biro was approved, I think, after that, after this was denied, I believe.
Yeah, I think you know, you may be familiar with the law that what they're concerned about. I think it was the same, now I'm thinking about it, I'm sorry, it's late. It was the same, I think it was the same traffic engineer.
But, okay.
Yeah, wasn't it, Mr. Kermit Hewa?
So no new traffic report.
No, I don't think it's necessary, in my opinion, because we reduced the number of units. That's my position.
Harrison?
Thank you. Did our affordable housing administrator sign off on the affordability plan that was modified?
Nice word is sign off. I don't know
I-
I don't know what that means.
I guess.
Was it reviewed?
Reviewed.
Emmeline,
I don't believe so. I can certainly ask him to do that.
I would tell you that it's basically in the same format that she approved. If it's a she, it's a he.
Mark Barnhart, yes.
Okay, if that he approved. Except that I substituted the new number of units, which changes the affordability units because it's a percentage. It's a set aside development, so it's 15% at 80 and 15% at 60. So if you do 83, anyone good at math?
It's still 30%.
Yeah, it's 30%. So 30% of 83 is what?
I don't know, but I know.
Well, I bumped it to 25, so I raised, you know what I mean? I rounded up.
It's 30.1%. 30.10%, I don't know, 3.1%, yeah.
We're good.
Any other questions for Attorney Bellis? Okay, we'll conclude the initial presentation and we'll turn to public comment.
Okay, I'll step down.
Thank you. I believe we had a request from Mr. Davis to and then we will, after Mr. Davis will go first come first serve for others in the room.
I'm a little bit aggravated at this point because I still do not believe that the experts have gone to this site and looked at this site. Because there are modifications.
Can we just, I know I just said your name, but can you, your name and
My name is
address?
Tom Davis. I live at 50 Finn Street. I have lived in Fairfield, Connecticut for 70 years. I've lived on Finn Street for 44 years. 25 Sylvia Road, 2 on Kenwood Avenue. Okay, so I've lived in Fairfield for 70 years. okay? I've been in the construction business for over 40 years. I've knocked down buildings. I've built buildings. I've knocked down houses. I've built houses. Okay? And you guys are trying to look at a blueprint off of a computer. Well, here, I'm donating this to you guys. Okay? This way you can see what's really happening because nobody knows what's really happening. Okay? Mr. Randolph was asking the questions about setbacks. They don't even know the setbacks, probably because they've never been there. And the setbacks on the right side, on the left side is 2 feet. From the parking garage ramp to the property line is 2 feet. Okay? I laughed. I'm making notes and I'm laughing. And this isn't even part of my letter. Miss Braun was reading part of my letter. That was from me. This is, I've been here for how many months? Since February, maybe? And it came out, a good neighbor, wide streets. This came tonight. Character of the neighborhood. Eyesore. Difficulty walking to the train station. That was part of other projects, but it's part of our project. The engineer said that there's only 4 stories of living space. There's 5 stories of living space. Anybody see that they put the parapet down on top of the 4th floor and put another floor above that? There's 5 floors of living space. Okay, but nobody you can't see it on the computer. You have to look at the print because it's the smoke screen. It's still 80 feet tall. What's it got to be, 80 feet? Does it have to be 90 feet? I don't know. This does not fit in this little neighborhood. Okay, and how many times are we going to give them, oh, you need to modify this, you need to modify that, no, one and done, that's it. Question, HVAC, it's not shown on the plans. He should have known that. I knew that. 5 floors still. Haley's 2-foot setback. The sight line hadn't changed. The sight line, they made it worse from getting out of the Finn Street garage to the other side. They made it worse. And if you read the letters from Joe Coolis, the traffic engineer, it's terrible. Here's my letter, and I sent it last week. It didn't get put in the file, but I believe it's in front of you. Dear Commissioners, I'm writing to you again with a stronger opposition from our neighborhood. Finn, Poe, Haley, Byro, Warren, and Castle regarding the reapplication for 108 Byro Street. There are still many questions and concerns that have not been addressed. The scale of the project has not been decreased. It still covers 76% of the property and is still 90 feet tall. This leaves very little surrounding space and eliminating the possibility of walkability around the building for occupants and first responders. Again, no buffer for this building and the surrounding homes, and it's creating a jarring disruption to the neighborhood landscape. The quality of air rights has also occurred. Nobody has addressed the lack of sun to our fellow neighbor over there at 123 Byro Street, who has solar panels on his house, who he spent a lot of money on, but nobody cares about that. The 105 project already went through and potentially 108, so he's going to be left in the dark. Health concerns, demolition dust, demolition noise, construction dust, construction noise, and the general disruption of our daily routines will adversely affect our quality of life. Okay? I don't sleep at night because I think that's all I think about. It's affecting my quality of life. I'm 70 years old and it's affecting my life. It should be in the glory of my life right now. Traffic safety parking concerns. If I get too loud, just give me, slow down, slow down. The neighborhoods do not have sidewalks. We said that before. And with the potential of 300 more housing units and 300 additional cars, the pedestrian safety factor is huge. And I'm adding all the projects. Ms. Braun just talked about all the projects that have gone on between Castle, Jennings, Tunxus Hill, and Melville Avenue. Additional factor is the additional cars will most likely park on the street along with already existing cars parking on the street. Okay, now here we go. The new garage entrance exit on Finn Street has moved down to the intersection of Finn Street and Poe Court. Okay? This has caused a bigger problem with traffic, safety, and parking. For the letter from traffic engineer Jay Coolis, this has created an offset T intersection, another safety hazard. It is most obvious again that the developers, experts have not visited the neighborhood. If they did, they would see a very steep hill coming down Poe with rock ledge formation to the right. During the winter, it is extra slippery with snow, ice, and water. It is not, if it is not sanded, salted, you are unable to come down the hill without slipping and definitely unable to get up the hill. Coming down Finn Street, you will now have to stop to see if anyone is coming down Poe to either go straight into the parking garage entrance or take a right turn. This now will be extra dangerous as there is proposed a fire lane in front of the building, which is 8 feet wide. If you scale it, it's really 9 feet, but I gave the benefit of the doubt, it's 8 feet. And according to the state of Connecticut code, which I'll just get to, even tonight, I came down Poe Court, someone was coming down Finn into the Poe condominiums. They didn't even look, they just went straight ahead. And that's for someone who who's lived there. I go down that street 2 miles an hour. According to the state of Connecticut code, now remember, there's a fire lane in front of the building now, the whole front of the building. It's on the blueprint. Driving is prohibited. Fire lanes are not intended for regular traffic and driving through them is not permitted. Parking is forbidden. You may not park or leave your vehicle standing in a fire lane, even if you remain inside the car. Limited exceptions for passengers. Some municipalities make a minor exception for actively picking up or dropping off passengers, but the driver must remain in the vehicle. Private property. The restriction applies to fire lanes on both public and private property that is open to the public, such as shopping centers and apartment complexes. Okay, so now this will now cut down Finn Street from being a narrow 24 feet street to an even narrower 16 feet with no view of cars coming down Poe Court. With cars parked on both sides of the street, Finn Street becomes a very narrow, dangerous road. With the main entrance of Kings Highway Commons on Finn Street, all 911 calls will respond to Finn Street. True or not true? Already noted, streets are not wide enough to accommodate cars, delivery trucks, garbage trucks, and emergency response vehicles. What are the consequences when there is a fire and access must be gained through Biro or Haley? Time is of the essence when dealing with an emergency, fire, or health. Another letter that was written, it's on file from Barbara Hayes Beam, who was a registered nurse and a pathologist who lived on Finn Street for over 47 years. She put in her note, time is of the essence if there's a heart attack, cardiac arrest. And you're gonna run into this problem. And there's no sense of putting our firefighters or our first responders in peril. We asked about it. The developers have not submitted a second traffic study from their expert who did not include the Castle Berwick Street apartment complex. They were asked numerous times for that in 105, and it never was submitted. Now we're at 108. 105 has already been approved with 48 more units. Now you want to approve 83 more units. You're talking 300 cars, without a doubt. It was also asked by the TPZ in the email 9/24/25 to the police department if they had any concerns, and the reply was, our concerns are the same, particularly exiting onto Black Rock Turnpike south from Finn Street. You cannot do it. You cannot exit Finn Street to go south on Black Rock Turnpike. Dangerous. Everybody goes out Poe. Everybody goes out Poe. I went one step farther and I asked the new offset T intersection. I asked about the new offset T intersection to the policeman, and I was referred to the town engineer about this concern. My email was sent on September 29th, and I have not received a reply. Even anything, but never having a reply. And that just tells me that with all these projects that are going on, the town departments do not have the time to sufficiently put into any of these projects. I have also read the reply from the fire marshal's office per code enforcement, and the notes from September 24th, 2025. My specific concerns were line 4, fire department access roads. In italics, this item appears to be addressed. Well, either it was or it wasn't. That doesn't appears, yeah, I guess it does. Line 6, fire lanes, locations to be approved by the FMO. Okay. Line 7, access turnarounds and turning radiuses, again, in italics, appears to be addressed. Well, has it or has it not? Line 8, Finn Street access. The width of Finn Street combined with roadside parking may impact fire department operations. Either it does or it doesn't. It impacts it now with the street being 24 feet, cars parked on both sides. It is most difficult. I don't have any doubt in my mind that the firefighters couldn't get to my house. Hell or high water, I'm sure they will get to my house. I have my strictest confidence in the firefighters in Fairfield because I know a lot of these firefighters in Fairfield. But again, they will not come out and preach because it's their job. They will not say anything against the town of Fairfield. Again, I reached out to the fire marshal regarding the code enforcement notes, and he was most helpful in answering my questions. I do still have a great concern of using the lower parking garage for turnaround purposes, as it is a possibility the ladder truck too, with a cost of $1 million or more, which is 10 feet 10 tall and 41 feet 5 inches long, would have to use this garage entrance exit for a turnaround. And we talked about that. Per drawing 21-01, the fire truck is pulling into garage totally. If the truck is 10'10" and the garage ceiling height is 10'4", according to that blueprint, per drawing A9, it says the lower garage level is 42.5 to the top of the beam in the garage is 54.83 feet, comes up to 12.33 feet, which is 12 feet 4 inches. There's a line on there that says 14 feet, but it's an arbitrary line. It has no reference to anything. It just says 14 feet. You can have my prints. That truck has 18 inches of headroom, and it's not going from the street into the garage on a level plane. The garage is 42.5. Halley Avenue, for example, is 40. So it's gonna have to go on an angle. When you increase that angle, the height that that truck needs is more than 10'10". 18-foot difference. You're gonna put $1 million or a $2 million truck underneath a building? I don't think so. I asked the firemen, would you do that? They won't give me an answer. They just sit there like this and go. If the firemen won't do it because the code says it's okay, that's not that's not what they're thinking about. It's also sitting on top of the water detention center system. Truck could weigh in excess of 65,000 pounds. This should all be a concern. I've also asked if there was another building I asked the fire marshal, is there another building in Fairfield that the parking garage was designated as a turnaround? I did not receive an answer, but if this is approved to use this method, then this is setting a precedent for other projects, and then there's no limit for you guys. None at all. With all the new 830G projects that have been approved less than 1 mile from 108 Biro, you've got 528 Black Rock Turnpike, 105 Biro Street, 83 Castle Avenue, 47-80 Tunxus Hill, Soundview, 277, 307 Berkeley. This would total upwards of 300 housing units. Impact on McKinley School, which is at 93% capacity, the impact on fire, police, and town maintenance departments, and all other town departments that would be unable to service the whole town. And I think I told you the last time we were here, if we have a major fire, the other Westport, whatever, they do not get an automatic call. If we go to a fire, they do not get a call automatically. We have to call them to come and help us. Last but not least, to finish off, the Kings Highway Commons 830G application is for affordable housing units, okay? Then why does the 5th floor have penthouse plans? Penthouse is a premium luxury dwelling on the top floor of a building, characterized by larger living spaces, higher ceilings, upgraded features, superior views, and exclusive amenities such as private terraces or rooftop access. This is a total contradiction of affordable housing, and that alone should deny and dismiss this application. One doesn't go with the other. Our neighborhood appreciates your complete attention to these critical matters and respectfully request thoughtful consideration before making any decision. I think I've spelled it out pretty good, and I know my neighbors, they have other concerns because I could tell you about them, but I'd rather have them tell you about them. But I think you need to read the letters that came in. Again, I can read a blueprint. Mr. Randolph can read a blueprint. I don't know who else was in the construction business. The blueprint doesn't jive with what they say. They're experts. Okay? Ask any of the firemen if they can accommodate, they can go into that building and they can put a fire out. But it's not what I want to do. I do not want to put the firemen into peril. It's not the thing to do. Thank you for listening to me for your time. I get a little fired up, and I'm not going to give you my little joke tonight. I gave it to you outside.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So we'll go to others in the room, just in the meantime, and come up, first come, first serve. But if anyone is joining remote who wants to speak, we'll get to you after those in the room, but please sign in to chat or raise your hand. Otherwise, we will not be able to.
Would anybody like this?
Can we
You have one?
want to put it on
Like
the
this?
record? We have it.
You want it?
Well, we have sets.
Okay, I just Looking at a computer is not the same as looking at what's on this piece of paper.
Evening, Commissioners. My name is Kevin Barry, 364 Halley Avenue. And
I'm sorry, just, I hate to interrupt you, just, everyone else, please, we'll try to limit comments to 3 minutes.
this time. I want to just elaborate briefly on something that Tom brought up, and that is this traffic report that came in front of everybody originally in the summertime. And maybe refresh everybody's memory, because maybe it's the way I heard it, but maybe Commissioner Braun might have also heard it the same way. See, at that time, their expert, I forget the gentleman's name, was discussing about the traffic all in the neighborhood. And the question came up, you know, have you considered all the other 4 builds right around Castle Avenue? And I believe his reply was, well, I requested that, but I never got it. Okay. And I think maybe what might have happened is this might have been when Director Went might have retired, I think. And Emmeline, am I right? And then I think you guys says, well, look, we want that included in the report, plus any organic growth. I remember that being said. And then Emmeline offered to assist the gentleman with that information. I'm sure that probably transpired, except there was never a backup report. We never heard, the public never heard that report. Because I think that's key. Because to Tom's point, there's a lot of traffic that's going to be thrown in with these 4 different developments if they all go. And right now we've got 1 built, we have 1 approved, we have 2 approved, and 1 has been sitting for 2 years. And now this big one right here at 108. We are looking at, even though the reduction of units at 276, give or take a few automobiles added to our, let's quarter mile, half mile radius that we live in, just with those 4 and nothing else in the neighborhood. So I want you to consider that, because I think that's really one of the crux that I have is the pedestrian safety due to traffic. Okay. And lastly, I'll just make a final point. Let's not forget that all these builds in this neighborhood, our neighborhood, flow to 2 main arteries, Black Rock Turnpike and Kings Highway. You can't get around it. And right now, the traffic there is pretty bad. If you've lived in the area or if you've driven on Black Rock Turnpike in the mornings or the afternoons, and Kings Highway is pretty busy too. So thank you. I guess my whole point is I'd love to hear this report.
Thank you. Please come up if you want to speak, just come up to the table.
My name is Celeste Davis. I live at 50 Finn Street. I've lived there for 40 years. So I can give you real life situations for that area. Something tonight that sticks out in my mind is that it was described, the new building, as being horrible. And the proposed building will be horrible. It will not be like the Southport building that was described today, that blends in and takes into consideration the neighborhood. Also tonight, it said that there are no parking signs on Finn Street. I live on Finn Street. There is not one single no parking sign. Parking is allowed on both sides of the street. Now with their plan, maybe they're going to change that. I don't know how they're going to do that because the houses that are on there rely on the on-street parking. Here is the real life situation that I want to tell you about. They changed the entrance to the parking garage to the corner where Finn Street runs here and Poe Court runs here. In the wintertime, this has happened to me numerous times. I'm a teacher. We have an early dismissal because of snow. I come down Poe Court, which is a hill. My car slides down Poe Court. It stops where their new entry will be. There's a gutter kind of thing, and the car will slide down Poe and stops there. Now, if they make this entrance here, that's what their proposal is, the cars coming down Poe are just gonna slide right into that entrance. There was also talk here about the sight lines. Real life living is, you can't pull out onto Black Rock Turnpike. You have to go up to Poe because you need to be able to see both ways. New people moving in there are gonna have to get used to this, but they haven't taken any of this into consideration. All of the safety issues that they've mentioned with the fire trucks and stuff. You really need to get your own experts because it is not going to be safe. They're putting too much. They're building too much on this small area, and there is not going to be the access. And I laugh when they said about landscaping. And I think, Mr. Randolph, you brought up maybe a screen. Opposite Finn Street is a slate, like rock wall kind of thing. You can't put anything up there. Anything that you put up there is gonna fall down because you're literally on slate and rock. So we gotta reconfigure all of this stuff. And you can deny this. You can either deny the change so they can't get their financing. This whole thing is so annoying because they haven't even purchased the property yet. They're getting everybody all riled up and going through this whole process of wasting people's time, and they haven't even purchased the property. They do not have the financing to begin. And that's another thing too. We need to figure out, when are they gonna start building these and what's the timeline for that? Because we've been waiting for Castle to be built. We've been waiting for other places to be built. We need to figure this out before we start approving anything else. And their first little thing here, if you deny that zoning change, they won't be able to get their financing and we won't have a building.
Thank you. Others in the room who would like to speak? Mr. Mullen, anyone online?
No, Mr. Chairman.
If, one more time, if you're joining us remotely and would like to be heard, you have to sign into chat or raise your hand to be recognized. So please do that now. Anyone, last call for those in the room who would like to speak? No one else? Once? Twice? Okay, that will include the public comment on this. Attorney Bellis, any rebuttal? I'm sorry, I just got a text from an RTM rep who said he was trying to speak.
Oh, Rob.
Got it. Rob Blanchard.
Rob Blanchard is trying to speak online.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. He's been unmuted. He can speak now.
Mr. Blanchard.
Good evening, commission members. This is Rob Blanchard, who represents D6, which is where this proposal is going to be situated. I sent along with my RTM colleagues concerns, again, reiterating that despite the reduction in the number of units, I've got a lot of concerns about, in the event of an emergency, what could happen to our firefighters as well as the residents, especially given the collapse zone, the height of the building and the density. Living not far from where this building is proposed in the Alto Apartments, we've already had the fire department come twice in the last month. And luckily, we've got two access areas that allow them to get to the building. And that's an even smaller amount of units as well as height. Again, I think that this developer who is claiming to be innovative, wants to build a bridge to Long Island, can partner with the community and find a way to satisfy the needs of our housing and housing diversity by proposing something that fits within the community will safely protect residents in the event of an emergency, not contribute in a dangerous way to traffic. And certainly, I know that because there was a lower number of units proposed, a more thorough traffic study, because the first one was not thorough or really put together well, would suffice here. And so I continue to believe that Commissioner Randolph's concerns that he had during the first meeting, which I shared, continue to exist. And I would urge you to again deny without prejudice and have this developer come back and try to get this right.
Thank you. No one else, right? Mr. Mullen?
I do not see anyone else raising their hand or checked into the chat.
Thank you. Back to you, Attorney Bellis.
No problem.
I'll officially again close the public comment.
Again, for the record, Steve Bellis. My rebuttal is as follows. I understand that the residents are concerned about traffic, especially in Fairfield. And I understand that there's more units coming online or may come online. But I look at it from a lawyer's perspective because I read the case law. And on an 830G, the courts have been very, very clear that traffic increases, even if it causes inconvenience to the other citizens in the neighborhood or town, is not a valid reason for denying an 830G. And look, I go to a lot of towns and I hear this all the time. And I'm not saying what the residents are saying is wrong, but the courts are not looking at that as being a reason to deny an affordable housing project. The cases that come to mind, River Bend, these are Supreme Court cases, Christian Activities versus, I think, Glastonbury. The courts are very clear in their words that general traffic inconvenience is not enough. So I hear what they're saying in this town. I hear what they say in other towns, but that's not what the courts are looking at. The second thing, I don't know what to say. I took a photo. I looked up on my phone, and there's a no parking sign on Finn Street. So I don't know how someone can just stand up here and say that there aren't any signs. I can see it on my telephone.
Have you been on the street?
The height of the building was raised to 14 feet, specifically in this modification to allow the fire truck to get underneath. It was an added expense. We talked about it. And the developer said, I'm willing to pay that added expense. Just do it. So I remember having the discussion with the architect, the engineer, and the owners, and they said, do it. So I'm representing to you that the height of the garage will be 14 feet. The setbacks are what they are. I don't know, they're all on the plans. I'm not going to go over them, but they have been brought back. The ramp was moved because it was to help a resident. That's why it was moved. It now is next to a part of the condominium association that has some wooded area. Obviously, that's better for that poor resident. So I don't know. I listened to everything that the commission said. I took notes, with the exception of the, I'm going to say the word wrong, cupola, whatever. I got overruled on that one, sorry. The developers did what we thought you wanted, get this project approved and to avoid a court case. If there's anything that I overlooked, I'm sure you'll bring up to me, and if there's any reasonable changes that can be made. I think Commissioner Randolph had made a few suggestions that we'll be glad to look at as far as having, an access way around. And if there's something else I overlooked, I don't mind hearing from you. But I think we did what you asked us to do. So we could, I would suggest that this modification would be approved by a court. You don't have to believe me, but we're doing an awful lot of them. And, not sure that I've lost yet. But I would prefer, and so would the developer, to have this approved with going both ways between the commission and the developer, and making the project as good as possible without relying on a judge to decide the case. That's my personal view. That's what I've told my client, and that's what he believes as well. So I hope that's what we did, and I hope you will approve it.
Thank you. Anything further from the commission? Commissioner Levy.
Yeah, the courts are clear that general traffic congestion is not a concern.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you've moved the entry garage on Finn Street closer to Poe. And I think site specific here, Poe Court is fairly steep. It is very narrow. There are cars parked on both sides of Finn Street, regardless of whether or no parking. And that is a very difficult, I mean, you've got people going straight into the condominium. It is steep, it's very narrow, and that's where you've now moved the entrance to the garage. Is it, I'm concerned about that, and, perhaps additional information as to the, sight lines there. And traffic considerations specific to that, unique spot.
Location.
That location.
Yeah.
Because that is, I mean, I was there with my two grandsons in the back, and it's a tight, very tight, and it's a tough corner there. And the change is that you've moved the entry right to that pinch point, shall we say. That might need to be addressed further.
May need to be tweaked. Thought, and if I thought that we gave you, but if we didn't, I'll be glad to do it. I thought we gave you the new sightline measurements, but if they're not on the plans, I'll be glad to provide it. I thought they increased sightlines, the sight distances from that location from where we had it previously. As far as the traffic at that particular spot, I think it would be helpful. I can have,
More the topography.
topography. I'm looking at it. I really don't.
Sightlines.
Not me personally, but the team,
Yeah.
That would help you in your decision. I don't mind doing it. Yes, sir.
So just to elaborate on Commissioner Levy's question.
Yeah.
This project is a much different order of magnitude than anything around there. And traffic is a question on every project. And since the volume of traffic has been addressed, I think there's two other questions that are still pending. One of them is there's always three things on volume. There's the volume generated by building, which I think we've addressed, the volume generated by approved projects, and the background increase in volume, the background growth. Those are the three things that go into a TIS. So could you confirm to address the questions that were raised, that those have all been satisfactorily addressed? And then secondly, elaborating on Commissioner Levy's question. I often hear the distinction of a TIA, which is building specific, looking at the sight lines, the turning radiuses, the movement in the immediate vicinity of the building, relating to parking, any impediments from street parking. I think that question was legitimately concerned and is still seems to be, I think we're unclear that was.
I don't see it on the site plans.
I understand his question about where the ramp is now located.
Well, I'm saying, since you moved the entry points, I'm not asking you to do a comprehensive traffic impact analysis.
No, he means at that point. Yeah,
But I'd also, the other 2 points on
Yes.
on Haley and Byro as well, since you adjusted them. And the question was raised, and I think you answered it, and I'm not sure if Mr. Davis had the old drawings, but the 14-foot clearance, you show it as 14 feet, but there's not a construction set in here to say that that's the absolute clearance. You do show 14 feet.
Thought I did.
Well, it says 14 feet, but it's hard, it's actually above the bottom of the cornice by a little bit in the drawing. I don't mean to be too
I can
big.
clarify it.
But if you could confirm that, because that's you're using that as a turnaround, which was my main issue and a concern, but could you address that? Also, another question that was asked legitimately, and this comes up, I never asked this question, I think other commissioners do, is the distribution of affordable units in the building. That question came up.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to address that. So I think it was, your good point. I can address that one. I think the speaker talked about the penthouses. There's 4 of them. I designated one of them affordable. I'm sorry.
Thank you. And then there was a question about HVAC. It was a general question, but could you just comment? I believe are they heat pumps on the roof? How is the HVAC in this building work? I think that's a clarification question more than anything. That's not a.
Yeah, I got it. Where they're located.
And any potential noise, I know that that's always, traffic, noise, lights. Those are always the
Generators.
neighbor's concern.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't mind doing any of those
And
things.
then lastly,
Oh, there's a lastly, maybe I
There's a
shouldn't have said
lastly.
anything so quickly.
I don't think it's a big one, but.
Go ahead.
I know that we're not permitted to ask this,
Oh.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, I'm Director. But sometimes developers make voluntary contributions for things that are clearly lacking, potentially sidewalks. So would Mr. Shapiro, since he is very focused on building horizontal improvements, consider putting sidewalks in the neighborhood? It's a lot shorter than a bridge and it's a lot easier, and the permitting is much easier. So I'm just trying to
Yes, I
do my
understand.
best here.
I'm not
It's a
taking,
lot cheaper than a bridge.
I'm not taking it.
He opened himself up to that, so. So if he can build the sidewalks, maybe he'll get a chance at building a bridge.
Trump was built on the bridge.
He wants to build a bridge.
Anyway, I understand your point.
Yeah.
And that's voluntary.
I understand. I understand.
Chief Director Harrigan, when do we have to vote on this? What is the deadline?
So this application, based on the meeting schedule, we treated this like we would treat other public hearings. So we were able to recommend this to a meeting on I believe it was the September 16th meeting. So when we calculate that out, that gives us until December 4th
To vote.
That doesn't,
to vote.
I don't want to interrupt.
It's
Doesn't
65.
sound right to me.
September?
Yeah, it was
65 days from
65
submission of
days
the
in total.
application. I think it's 65 days from the submission of the application.
Well, I think that what the way we treat it is your application is accepted at the next scheduled meeting.
Okay.
And so that's the way that we did it. And that's the way we treated your original
Yeah. Do you
application.
remember when that was, Emeline?
I believe I would have to check the agendas, but I believe based on when we actually
Accepted.
received those items in the office, I believe we were able to get it on the recommend to hearing on the 16th.
September, that was, no.
Yeah, I believe.
September
that's-
16th? So I think it would, I think the statute says 65 days from that day.
Correct.
Oh, okay. That gets you out to your December date?
That's what I understood, yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Then she's right.
I ask all that because I just want to see if we are gonna be getting,
Maybe I just think I'm tired, Emeline. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We can double check this, but
65 days from September.
I thought that'd be like November.
November
It's like
something?
2 months, it's like 2 months.
It's 2 months and change.
Yeah, right?
did we have a meeting in between there?
We had the 16th and then
I feel like we must have had a meeting in between. So maybe we accepted it that next
Sorry, I can't help you.
meeting. Do we have a meeting on the 23rd?
I wasn't here on the 16th, and I know I voted for a public hearing on it.
Meeting after.
So we, there was one Tuesday, Rosh Hashanah, I think we did.
That was the Rosh
24th
Hashanah.
or the 23rd, yeah.
So then we had to recommend a public hearing because of the canceled meeting on the 30th. That's where we get to the 65. So it was originally scheduled it was originally scheduled to be recommended to hearing on the 23rd, which we canceled, so we had to do it on the 30th, which is where we were. That's what happened.
So it was, sorry, the 30th, okay, that makes sense, okay.
I can't help you.
That makes sense, okay, so.
Doesn't
can
make
we-
sense. I dated my documents September 3rd.
We received them after. It
Yeah.
wasn't on the 3rd.
It's November 27th.
I guess if we're gonna get some modifications and questions answered, could we leave this public hearing open then?
I would think you have time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure we would have enough
I
time.
think you're okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can leave it open for the limited purpose of accepting any, and then if, based on what information we get, how expensive it is and to what extent there are
Try to get you that
Well,
answer.
I mean-
changes to the project, we can, determine if we need to.
Either it's open or it's not open, right? I mean, I would like the public to have the opportunity to weigh in too if
I'm
there's
not
substantial
foreclosing
information.
on that, but it depends on the nature of the information we get, and I think we've treated this in lots of different ways in the past based on what information we get. Certainly, if there's a substantive change to the project, that we would have to reopen public comment fully to that. If it's clarifying information, then we're not going to reopen the hearing to react to.
Try my best to get.
So I'm not
So
gonna
can
predict the
neighbors,
future.
can neighbors still submit things? Or you're saying, or only one party can? I just want to make sure. I
The
understand.
neighbors can't submit anything based on information we don't have yet. So we have to get information from the applicant. Some of these have been clarifying questions from the commission, so we ask those clarifying questions all the time. That's not unusual.
No, it's not.
If
this
you
is, I
have,
think, a
if there are
very unique
answers you have,
situation, so.
if there are answers you can give to clarifying questions tonight, I prefer you do that. If you're going to submit any new information, substantive changes to the project, then that's up to you. And if you do that, then of course, we would have to open it to.
It's my intention to answer the questions that were asked of me by these commissioners. And I'm not qualified to answer it as I sit here right now. I would have to get a hold of the traffic consultant and submit that information. But I don't plan on changing my whole presentation.
All right, very good. Thank you. I think
All
you've answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, we will keep this open for the purpose of whatever, I'll go to Commissioner Braun in a second, whatever else you're looking to submit, and then the public is gonna have a chance to comment on any
No problem.
changes to the plan that you propose.
Yeah, really quick question. There was reference to a fire lane. I can't find it on any of the plans. Maybe you could come back and let us know if that's on any of the plans. I know,
I think it's in the fire marshal's purview. There's nothing we can do about it. If he says that you need a fire lane, you have a fire lane. That's my understanding of fire lane.
it's not on the plan.
No, that's not.
Thank you, Sir Gillis. Thank you, public. We are holding this hearing open, subject to any new information we receive. And that being the last item. But, yep.
Thank you.